howdy, friends and floorheads. It is Thursday evening, only 2 weeks since we had our last episode after taking such a long break in between. And I think we just get started. We left you at the doorway of this crypt or tomb that you've been hearing about at the Hollows. So at the very top of this, small mountain, large hill that's in the northwest part of the Hollows, there's talk of this count who was trapped in this tomb or entombed here. With help from Aldrich and with some muscle from Osric, you guys figured out how to open the door. The door kind of rotated off the centerpiece. Some pretty impressive craftsmanship, Aldrich. And the pieces of stone that fell as you pushed that door told you that the door had not been opened for a very, very long time. And even though it's midday, you immediately could see a corridor that led from the door. And about 15 yards down from that, you could see some sort of room. You noticed just how dark the corridor was, despite the fact that the sun is out and it's midday. Somehow light is just unable to get into this corridor. And the thing that you noticed about 15 yards up that made you realize that the corridor led to some sort of room is this brazier in the center of that room. And burning from it was this green fire. And the light from that fire was shining and flashing and giving you a little bit of a view of that room. You could tell the room itself was about 20 or 30 yards in diameter. And you saw right across from the entrance of the corridor to the room a sarcophagus, upright in a small alcove. Next to it was a second one. And then we ended with you noticing a third one to the left of it that was child-sized. I have you not yet entering the corridor. You guys are just outside of it at the door after Aldrich and Osric have opened it.
So, why are we doing this again?
We're making friends. You know, a thing you're good at. He's old, you're old. It'll work out fine.
Mm-hmm.
Rush Brothers were interested in something up here. Let's find out what it is.
All right. Well, who wants to go first?
I go. I'll take a step into the hallway and just kind of walk towards the green light.
So, Vasily, you start walking down the corridor. Not to get OSR, but do we have a marching order here?
I'll
You have
I'll
a
go
10-foot pole?
I'll go second. I think I'm gonna light a torch, and I think I'm going to sheathe my sword and have the shield and a torch.
Okay, let's go ahead and roll for torches.
Let's pretend I know how to do that. Cool.
Does that mean you're out of torches?
It's my last torch.
Cool.
So those of you watching, the way that certain inventory is handled in Forbidden Lands is for torches, for food, and for water, you get a die size. So you can go up as high as a D12, and then every time you use a torch or an arrow or rope, or not rope, but food or water, you roll that die, and on a 1 or a 2, you go down a die size. So what Ostrich just did is rolled a D6. And if he rolls a 1 or 2 on that D6, this is his last torch. So Osric, Vasilis starts down. We see you flint light the torch. and it fills this corridor with light. You've got your shield, then the torch. Who's behind you?
I'd probably follow behind Osric. But before I go in, Aldrich would take a look around, not to be too paranoid, but would there happen to be like a decent sized stone that he could put like in the, not the hinge, but like where those stone doors kind of opened, just to try to block it off, in case a door tried to close behind us or something.
Yeah, how about a little crafting roll? So you definitely find the stone, but I think I want a crafting roll to see just how well we do this.
Not to be overly confident, but this should be pretty easy.
What is wrong with you tonight? You keep saying things.
Piece of cake, see?
Piece of
All right.
cake.
So you try one stone, Aldrich, a little too small. Next stone probably would do the job, but no, I don't like that stone either. You find the third stone though, you put it in there, fish, and I'm just imagining you take the bottom of your battle axe and you pop it with a handle, and it just kind of lodges right there.
I'm kind of imagining he like took the axe and like chipped it so it almost made like a wedge, so he could kind of really jam it in there and make sure it's stuck. So that done, he feels more secure about the situation and follows in behind Osric.
Yeah,
And
Sten gives you the old man nod. And
Vasily, do you have 2 empty hands?
I do.
Okay, and we know Osric's what's in each hand, and for Osric, Aldrich or Nate, or sorry, Aldrich.
I think Aldrich will keep the axe out.
Okay, and then Sten.
bow and arrow.
All right. When that torch is lit, for the first time, we can really see this corridor, and it fills the entire length of the corridor with torchlight. And Vasila, you notice that there's columns that are supporting this corridor that line both the left and the right-hand side. And the craftsmanship on them is gorgeous. Just smooth as if it was made yesterday, with all kinds of beautiful designs. Well, not all of them are beautiful. You also see carvings that show skulls. You see carvings that have these grotesque, stretched, demonic faces.
Are they involved in any way, or are they just like gargoyle standing still in the columns?
They all are facing in, right? So it literally each column has them, and they're looking in. So no, they're not interacting with each other, and they're not depicting anything. I think gargoyles is a good analogy. They're looking in on the corridor.
Are they facing each other? Are they facing the tombs?
Facing each other.
And Craig, just for reference, is the torchlight colored, or is it taken on that greenish tinge?
Good question. It is normal torchlight color.
Cool.
I have green torches, guys.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
had green
natural.
torches.
That's
You
right.
didn't read that part of the Forbidden Lands book? Come on. Fire's green here.
So go ahead.
Hey, Osric, why don't you hand me the light?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that, and I can hand the torch off to Vasila.
You have an extra one of these, right?
No.
It's only like 20 feet. We won't need more torches than that.
Yeah.
No, I meant to
Surely
stop
not.
at the shop, and haven't had the time.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna keep on walking. I'm like, ooh, look at this. Hey, Aldrich, do you think you could make that? Like, that's some pretty nice craftsmanship. That'd look really cool on like a helmet for Osric or something. He'd be so all the villagers would be even more scared of him.
I'm not so much a sculptor, but it's disturbing to say the least.
And Osric, as you hand the torch to Vasila, I'm imagining you kind of look back at the door to the outside just to check it. Not that you don't trust Aldrich's work. And the one thing that I think strikes you is that the darkness is following you in. So the torch only has so much reach. So this idea that light couldn't come in here, the torch is breaking that, but the darkness is reclaiming as the torch moves along as you slide down this corridor. Vasily, you're in front, and as you're walking, you're about, I would say, about 10 feet. Much clearer view now, and some of this torchlight is starting to spill in to this, what you now realize is a circular chamber. And there's echoes and sobbing. You definitely can hear a woman sobbing. What's tough is where, right? At first you're like, is there somebody behind us crying? And no, and that's not from behind us, even before you turn to look to see if she's there. It's just around you. The sound of this, just a woman sobbing. All four of you hear it.
Great.
Hello, ma'am? Your Highness? We just came to say hello, and
We come in peace to walk with the dead.
yeah, we noticed that your friends outside weren't so happy with some people we didn't like either, so thought maybe we could stop by and entreat you with you.
You haven't taken a breath as you talked.
That's Vasilla for you.
But as Priscilla finally quiets down and you hear that sobbing again, and it's coming and going, right? It's not continuous. Priscilla, a couple seconds of silence after you get done talking, you're kind of waiting for the sobbing to return. I still have you about 5 feet outside of the chamber. This voice sounds like it circles you. That it's under you and inside your ears, and you just hear a woman's voice. Who sent you?
Do all of us hear that, by the way?
Well, no one sent us, ma'am. We were kind of out doing our own thing. We came back to the halls because we were feeling pretty sick from some rogue mistakes, and then we found the Brotherhood of Rust guys, who can't say we're big fans of. Doesn't seem like your followers are either.
You're just reciting our whole history here?
Where are you?
I'm right back here.
No, not you.
So, Osric, it's really odd what Vasilla's like, just starts talking, right?
That's not odd at all.
Is it?
And you now hear a voice, a woman's voice. She says, "For whose side do you fight?"
No
Pleasure.
That's right. We fight for our own side. We fight for justice.
There is no justice.
Justice. We have to try.
Are the four of you now staying where we are? Are we moving forward? What are we doing?
I'm not anxious to go forward while people are talking to invisible people.
You don't want your turn talking to the invisible people?
I mean, if you guys go forward, Sten will follow you, but he's not in a
I was
hurry.
gonna say, have Vasilla and Osric stopped to talk, or
I don't
are you
know.
still kind of
That's
moving
what I'm
forward?
asking.
I did stop to
Okay.
talk to the
Yes.
voices in my head.
How deep was the brazier?
So it stands about 4 foot tall. It's hard to tell what it's made of, Aldrich, from where you are, because it's everything is flickering fire shadows, right? You're just getting
Right.
flashes of the circular room, but it's obviously metal.
Hmm.
I would say, I don't know, 3 foot diameter maybe. So it's pretty good
Okay.
sized.
I meant how deep into the chamber
Oh,
was
it's in
it?
the
But
center of the chamber, so it's a good, say 10 feet from where the corridor ends to the center of the
Okay.
chamber. Yeah,
Got it.
the entire circular chamber appears to be about 20 foot wide, or in diameter. And these sarcophagi that I mentioned, these are inset in these alcoves, right directly across from the brazier.
So I think Aldrich would have paused when Vasilla was talking to herself, as far as you could tell, and then kind of looked back up and started kind of not making speed towards the brazier, but moving forward. Just curious about it.
And are you moving ahead of Vasilla, or is what's Vasilla doing as we see Aldrich starting to move?
I'm looking around because the everywhere voice is distracting.
It's disorienting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sobbing was omnidirectional as well.
It was. It was
there's
the
no, like-
same effect, but it wasn't the same volume. And Osric, what was different is the sobbing was ambient in its own strange way. The words that were spoken to you and Vasilla, in her case, were direct. The difference between listening to music in an elevator or wearing headphones.
I'm gonna curtsy towards the brazier, I guess, and I'm gonna say, so are you like a person ghost or just like a room ghost?
Aldrich, as you've gotten closer and you're shuttering the distance between the corridor exit and where it goes into the chamber, you get a flicker, and you can see at the foot of the child sarcophagus, there's someone kneeling there, facing it. And it's hard. The light, the shadows, and sometimes the brazier does a good job of filling the room with this green light. Other times, parts of Vasilla's torch but it's almost as disorienting as the sounds. So it's hard to tell, but yeah, it's a woman. It's definitely a woman. She's wearing looks like some sort of bluish dress. But she's got is she transparent? No, she's there. She's definitely there.
Hello there.
The figure stands, Aldrich, as you stand at the entrance of the chamber, and turns to you. Stunningly beautiful, I think, is the first thing that kind of strikes you. Is this woman stands taller than she is tall. She's got these beautiful, beautiful features, and she's human, but it's like this elvish beauty to her face. And the way that the light from the green and then some of Vasila's torchlight is hitting her face, she's got this beautiful, beautiful black hair and what appears to be a very ornate headband crown with a studded jewel above her forehead. And she wipes her eyes. Why are you here? All four of you hear this.
Do the rest of us see her?
If you're close enough, the answer is yes.
Okay.
We seek help to protect the Hollows from those who would bring demons back into the world.
Is he
It's
still
not-
out? Is he still out there?
Algarod?
No, Z-Man.
Or
Zygofer?
Zygofer, goddamn. The names.
Yes.
Zygofer?
He's why we're here.
So I've heard. It's unclear, but it seems possible.
There are certainly plenty who serve him still.
He killed him. Then he killed my child. Then he killed me. Our blood runs through the hollows.
We have seen the destruction he and his men and his beasts cause. I'm sorry you had to see it as well.
Is the war still fought?
There's been a pause for, say, 100 years. But the seeds of war are still beginning to sprout anew.
It's coming back.
Aldrich, as she's talking, she was standing in front of this child sarcophagus. And as you made any motion towards this chamber, I'm not sure why it's weird to you, but she moves to get between you and the large center sarcophagus. Are you here to avenge us?
Perhaps. Do you need avenging?
He took our life, but we cannot rest.
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I'd be happy to see him pay, and if that means getting you and your family some rest, I think that's worth it.
So go. She's slowly moving towards you, Aldrich. Leave and avenge us.
Is there nothing that can be done to help us in this matter? We are but four people. We don't have an army. We don't have followers.
My husband was a great man, but he cannot leave. He can protect nothing, including his wife and his child.
Does his spirit not protect the hollows?
Nobody protects the hollows. The Hollows is why we're here.
Maybe we don't know what the Hollows is then, ma'am. We thought it was the town outside.
The Hollows is gone. He destroyed it. All of it.
Well, what was it?
It was our home.
Hmm.
She's still slowly moving towards you. She hasn't quite gotten to the brazier yet.
The people buried in this area, this land, the Hollows, return at night to walk.
They are
Why?
probably still loyal to my husband. They probably are just as restless as I. But he's gone.
He is not cursed as you are to remain.
I am here forever. I protect him and my child.
Can I?
Now go.
Craig.
Go ahead, Vasila.
Can I try to figure out if she has malice towards Aldrich?
Yeah. What do we want to roll for that, Vasila?
Sounds like insight, unless you want
Insight.
try
I
and
guess,
Yeah.
else.
I like
Uh,
that. And, give me an
so-
extra die with Aldrich there.
Modifier 1.
Does the ghost lady pass the vibe check?
Hmm.
Apparently, Vasila doesn't
What
pass the
vibe
vibe
check?
check.
Seems fine to me.
So before you make any decisions,
Mm.
Vasila, you're not alone. Everybody's getting a weird vibe. What you're not able to do is figure out why. Partially, you've never talked to a ghost before.
I mean, to be fair, pretty weird.
Mhm.
This is Aldrich's second ghost. So
I'm trying to meet
Yeah.
the whole family at this point.
Collect them all.
Right?
Do you want to push that?
No, I think no, I think I'm just going to default. So I'm going to say so she said I'm still here. He can't protect anyone. So is it just you, or is your daughter and husband gone?
We are all here. But he can't come out, nor can my child. I'm the only one that keeps station.
Well, what's the name of your child, ma'am? I'm afraid it's lost to legend now.
You know how bad I want to give him a Z name?
Only if you want us to massacre it.
Brian.
Brian.
There. It's time for you to leave. She's now walked around the brazier, Aldrich. So she's now just out of arm's reach of you, and now it's confirmed. She's there and not there. Depending on where the light hits, sometimes you can see all the way through her. Sometimes she feels solid. The beautiful face that you saw is still young, is still beautiful, but as she talks, as she answers more questions, as she gets closer, her face gets sterner. And then you can hear some insistence on this last direction to leave.
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe there's not a lot you can do if something happens and a man can't protect his wife and his child. But I tell you one thing that you don't do is just stand there and wallow in your suffering until then. There's still a fight to be made.
He did this to us. He cursed us. He ended our lives, trapped us here.
Well, then
Do you think
he
this is a
should be
choice?
figuring a way to get you out of here.
Wait, did Zertome do that, or did your husband try to protect you in here?
This is the work of Zygofer. He destroyed the Hollows. He killed my child. He killed me. And then my husband. And wouldn't let us die. Wouldn't let us rest.
Well, sure. I'll just walk up to an ancient sorcerer then and pop him in the head. If you got any tips, we'll take them. Otherwise, I guess we'll leave you to your wallowing in sorrow. Sten starts turning around to go back.
Craig, are there any other exits to this room?
There doesn't appear to be, though. You have not entered the chamber yet, so there's a possibility maybe to the far right or to the far left. You can't see everything. So there's potentially, this is not a closed chamber. But from where your perspective is, there does not appear to be. She's getting very close, Aldrich.
I think Aldrich starts like backstepping, like maintaining the same like pace that she's moving, especially with Sten backing off. I think Aldrich doesn't have the nerve for it. This is ghosts are weird, man.
Avenge me.
But why doesn't your husband come out? Why only you?
He can protect no one.
Is your vengeance holding him?
This is the work of Zygofer. Now go.
Please, the people of this town need help against the Rust brothers. Surely you have some sway with these walking dead.
They are his men, not mine. I'm not going to fight him again. He took everything. You'd be wise to either take him and avenge us, or run. Now go.
Want us to leave the door open for the Rust brothers who are going to come in and desecrate this place?
Go. Sten's leaving.
Yeah, I mean, he's waiting at the door for the rest of them. He's not going to leave them here.
So you coming?
Yeah, I suppose.
Osric.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna back my way out. I don't want to turn my back to her. She's kind of giving me a bad feeling.
And as you guys, have backed away, you notice she doesn't enter the corridor. She stops at the chamber.
Are you held here by an artifact? Maybe we could set you free.
He holds us here.
Is he here?
You're such fools. Zygofer's everywhere. go, you'll avenge no one.
And I suppose she'll stay here and cry.
No answer.
Before we move out, and while Vasilla is talking to her, I would like to try something here.
Okay.
I would like to actually cast Detect Magic on the brazier. You know, there's
Okay.
sparking green fire. Seems like a sort of thing that might be of interest. I mean, is it reading as magical in the first place?
No question. The whole chamber is.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. So sense magic. There we are. We're gonna go ahead and safe cast that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we walk the audience through mechanically what's happening right now?
Yes. So I am using the sense magic spell. So sorcerers and druids inherently can just sense magic. For Aldrich, it generally manifests as like a smell or a taste. But if I actually go to cast the sense magic spell, that gives me more details on the type of magic that is involved. And to do so, I'm spending a willpower. And since it's only a level 1 spell, I can safe cast it so I don't have to roll. Therefore, I don't risk a mishap.
Osric back.
Roll nothing and have a.
So, Aldrich, really, as this woman got closer to you, all the flavors and the tingling was in the very, very back of your mouth. And it was the flavor of unripe crab apples, of root vegetable leaves, kind of that unsavory bitterness. That's the word that comes through. That's what comes through in that taste. And as you push yourself more to better sense not only her maybe, but try to push it beyond her and try to get maybe some more focus, right? Is this just what's ahead of you? Is this her? You realize there's 3 sources. No, there's 5, but 2 are damp. 2 are small, or they're away, they're far away. 1 is very close, it's her, and that's where that bitterness is coming from. You then sense weight from this brazier. This brazier is not, something is happening here and it's heavy. Really, really heavy. Like you almost feel it on your shoulders. And for the first time, I think as you've been experimenting with these powers, Aldrich, as you've been trying to understand what you're capable of, as you've sensed magic before, you've tasted it, you've smelled it. There's a third thing, and you can hear it. And it's so disorienting that I'm not quite sure you know how to process it, but there's a third thing. And it's music. But you can't place it. You just know it's music, but you can't, I think you can hear it. I don't know if you can, like it's blah, right? So 5 things ahead of you, 2 very dampened, 1 that's heavy, her giving you that bitter taste, and then something ahead that is for the first time returning sound, but that you can't hear.
I think that gives Aldrich a moment where he he started with kind of a general like a heavy breath in, and then like his eyes close, and he like shakes it off and shakes away the magical awareness. What are you guarding?
Go.
What are you guarding?
She turns her back to you and heads back towards the sarcophaguses. Now that you are far enough away from the chamber.
She's keeping her child and husband here. I think she's
Oh.
the defense.
There's more than that.
And what's the more?
That I don't. But I was asking her. But there's something in there. I mean, one would point to the brazier. There's something in there. There's something beyond.
Do you think you could put your axe through the brazier? Is it like a physical thing? I mean, it's told in stories that, there's like a crystal glowing green, and Arnok just put his magical sword through it. I mean, did that work for Rustbite?
Do we want to do that?
She's wrong. She's lying. Something's wrong.
I also don't necessarily want to know what it's like to tangle with a ghost.
The sobbing has started again.
Look, I don't know how much you know about halflings, right? But everyone, like, eventually every halfling mom ever is cheery on the street and cries herself to bed every night. And she's a halfling mom.
She
She's
looks
not-
a bit tall
she's-
for that.
It's a metaphor. Jeez, you guys are just couldn't figure out a spider. Now you can't figure out a halfling mom. There's no spark of creativity or like ingeniousness in your souls. Oh my god. It's a good thing you have me. Anyway, she's wrong.
Real quick.
She's-
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Real quick. I've got Sten towards the entrance. I've got Osric about halfway between the entrance and in the middle of the corridor, the halfway mark at the corridor, and I have Aldrich and Vasilla having the conversation at about halfway in the corridor. Have I placed everybody correctly?
That sounds about right.
That sounds
Go ahead,
right.
Dennis. Vasilla, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Look, you're the magic man, but I'm telling you, we need them to fight the Brotherhood. They came to this town and broke the pathway for a reason. And she's the captor.
Osric, you're startled as Vasilla's torch goes out.
Oh.
And you can see their silhouette sometimes from the brazier, but it's dark. It's real dark. Aldrich, it's real dark.
And we can still see the flame from the brazier.
You can no longer see her.
You see the light from the entrance?
It doesn't penetrate in. That's the strangest thing. You can see the entrance, right? You can see the light outside the entrance.
Right. So they know which way it is
Correct.
fine. Okay. You coming?
Brian, you know you can't leave yet.
That's why I'm standing here, waiting for someone to make a decision.
I think lights go out. Aldrich would probably start like not stumbling, but like hand to the wall, like backing up, like god.
And you
I
feel-
touch you.
you
I'll
feel the
touch you like this
skulls
is
and the demonic faces. Go ahead, Vasilla. I'm sorry.
this is Vasilla right next to you. This is my voice. Hear me. All right, let's go towards the light for just a second. Maybe we can get some torches,
Yeah. Doesn't
and you can think
anyone
about
else
whatever
have a
thing
torch?
you read in your books, because there's no ghost things. There's no. Look, all I know about ghosts is you have to get rid of the thing that gives them their stationary point to the world, right? Like every
Sure.
tale about a ghost is, the rat catcher who haunts the cellar because
Can we
his
talk about this
lost
outside?
loves locket.
Come on,
Are we going out or into the light?
out.
I'm just
Out.
trying to. Cause,
Look, door's still open, Osric. We can.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
just
and
walk
Aldrich,
back
once
in.
you get to the door, you go down and look at your handiwork there, and the stone is exactly where you left it.
all right, I guess we're
And your eyes adjust.
backing our way
Take a
out.
minute though when you get outside.
Mm. Mm.
Sun's getting pretty low, big guy.
I can't blame the lady. I mean, if some guy murdered my family and left me to rot for hundreds of years, do you think she betrayed her husband?
I'm trying to remember the story that the girl
notes
told
I
me.
have is that he
He betrayed
betrayed,
Zagafer.
and then she told Zygofer that he failed. So maybe she ratted on him. That's like the
Right.
sentence I have, and I don't know the full context.
What if she went and begged for like forgiveness, or like her husband switched sides, and then she was like, no, like she got scared for her baby and for her.
Well, then I'd say she got what she deserved. Regardless,
Yeah.
she's not gonna give us any help. She either can't or won't come out. She won't leave the others here.
But if we can get her husband out, it's his men that are out and like.
Well, how
chasing
exactly
down...
do you suggest we do that?
I don't know. I'm not the magic one.
Mm.
I don't have a lot of experience with ghosts, okay?
I mean, 2 weeks ago we didn't have a lot of experience with demons either. I see a lot of flaming boars a year ago.
Touche.
Look, the people at the Hollows are going to get murdered by the Brotherhood when they show back up.
Do you believe that this brazier could help these people? Aldrich?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you think that the brazier could help the people of the Hollows? I don't know.
Whatever's in there is strong. Can't speak for what it is, but it a lot of power there.
Is that what's keeping him here?
Could be.
But we don't want to get rid of all the ghosts, right? Is it just her? Is it all of them? And what was the Hollows? The Hollows is in the town. I think the Hollows is like, I don't know, some kind of like magic place. I don't know, does stuff like is that where demons come in? Is that like where they cross the realms?
We don't know enough to do anything with this.
I hate to leave this to those Rust brothers, though.
She thinks she'll do them any more good or ill than she's done us?
Well,
I feel like,
but they know what they're...
yeah, bare minimum, they're more prepared than we would be.
They knew to come chip away the stone. They've been planning an invasion for however long.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to walk away.
So what do you want to do?
Jim or Osric?
The problem is Jim doesn't want to walk away, and Osric doesn't have a reason not to. That's the problem I feel like I'm running into.
When we were near the entrance to the room, could we see was like something in the brazier that was burning, or did it just look like a bowl full of fire?
You'd have to get much closer, Stan. To
We
be
never
able to
got that
see kind of
close.
the counter. Yeah, and you know,
We all
I
need
talked about
Aldrich to just get curious enough to go in there. And
I talked about the
follow.
sensing that Aldrich had about that heaviness,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
even you notice, Stan, that this is a
Big
hard,
old,
yeah.
What
What
about
Aldrich
your
felt
friend
was
Ghost?
beyond that.
The little girl who
Yeah. What was her
Told-
name? Could you ask her? Play a game. What happened in the history? Who's the Lord of the Manor? Do you ever see him? What are the hollows? I don't know.
wouldn't know how to contact her if I could. She just kind of showed up.
The last ghost I met tried to drag me underground and murder me, so don't think I'm on my best side.
That was kind of all of us. Didn't have
Did
a
you
bell though.
fight the fire, whatever the magic was? Can you anti magic it? Can
Possibly,
you water
but
to its fire?
getting that close, I would expect that I don't know what she would do, and that is what concerns me. Taking action in that room with her as aggressive as she was becoming.
What's Osric feeling right now?
I think Osric is well out of his element. Osric is, the sword guy for sure, and all of this, green fire and. Did we determine that she is in fact like some level of translucent lady?
Mhm.
So like that's just all sort of outside of his wheelhouse and his control. And I think he's frustrated that like he was hoping for an answer here and he's not finding one. And I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's something that he would have seen or felt that would have been more to push him further inwards into this space. Because right now, like she's not talking to me, and the brazier is definitely not something that Osric's gonna explore himself.
Did the barkeep take up residence in the mayor's house?
No, don't believe he had.
Pretty sure
think
he
we
was
asked
still at
that.
3 Skulls.
Like, there's got to be a history of this town, right? Well, maybe not got to be, but like,
You would hope that there would be a record. Who's to say that the Rust brothers hadn't cleared that history out? They were
found
occupying
it.
this town, even if the previous brother was not the most active.
and they murdered the mayor too, right? So presumably, I think that she was in on
Yeah,
whatever the Raven brother was.
They had time to raid the manor between Ash killing her and us getting back.
I mean, she won't listen to reason, right? She won't listen at all, right? All she'll say is that Zygifer did it to her.
And we should go kill
Zygifer did it to her. Zygifer did it, right? She's fixated, which ghosts are, right? Or at least so the tales tell.
If she's been in here for a couple centuries, she's mad.
Probably a little bitter, yeah.
You don't. Generally, you don't get to be a ghost because you had a happy time of things.
So do we make a play here, or do we leave the hollows to its devices?
What is the play even going to be? We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's in there. We don't know if anything we do in there is going to make things better or worse. If we come up with a good idea, we can come back and open it up again.
You're right. You're right. All right, I'm unwedging this stone, and I'm closing this door unless they're like standing in my way.
Are they?
I'm not.
No.
So we see Osric put his full weight in the same spot, but in the opposite direction. And then he switches sides so he doesn't close himself up. And we just hear the scraping of the stone against stone as this reseals.
Look,
There's a ghost in the mine too, right where the daughter is, because there's the Iceland child I heard played with ghost friends. Like we need to figure out what the heck is going on, or at least a little bit more about it.
yeah, but nobody's got a history except
It exists somewhere.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure we can get a version of the story from Miss Golden Eyes. She's telling us.
We
just
see
what
her
she
again?
wants us to hear. Oh, we'll see her
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
After the tomb gets closed back up, could Aldrich kind of reverse engineer his keep the door open to kind of make the door harder to open
From which way?
from the outside just to stop the Rust Brothers from getting in if that's what they're going to try to do?
Let's talk about your goal. So there's Aldrich trying to seal this tomb. There's Aldrich trying to make it harder for somebody to get in. There's Aldrich trying to make it harder for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing to get in. Give me an idea of the goal here. Right? So you can make it harder for somebody who's not Aldrich. Make it hard for everybody, or you can try to seal this MFer.
I think I'd like to put it where it would be difficult for someone without a great deal of experience,
Okay.
such as myself.
Crafting roll. Okay, you succeed. Can you, and Aldrich's better at this than Nate is, so you don't worry about getting too specific, but he can give me a sense of maybe what Aldrich does to accomplish that.
Sure, and it would be, again, similar to what he did to keep it open, kind of reverse engineering that process of cutting down some stones and really like getting them wedged into spots where it'll like be harder to notice to kind of blend in with the rest of the natural landscape and the door. And like, why is the door not opening? And they spend a lot of time trying to shake the door, and they're not looking at the, oh hey, like all the hinges are blocked. Now that he has an idea of how this mechanism seems to work.
Yep.
So, with that as a dead end, I see a couple possibilities. I
That's
feel
the
like we
first
don't.
funny thing you've said in a long time. Dead end. I got it. It's a ghost.
So I feel like we don't want to wait here for the Rust Brothers to show up. And maybe we wait at a distance and try and see what they do from outside the town when they get here, but we don't know how long they're going to take.
I think
Or
we should
we-
go check out. Sorry. Go.
Or we wait till the dead wake up tonight and we knock down the door of the Three Skulls and see what they do once they get inside. Because I
They
am
didn't-
willing to bet you that one they're after is the one who's been doing all the murdering and threw the shrines of the other gods out.
Craig,
course,
the,
it's
the,
the
the
other
dead
folks.
weren't restless last night, though, were they?
They weren't so they weren't attacked. If you remember the previous nights, they were very hyper focused, right, on the dead man's hand. and on the Three Skulls. You from where you were last night, you really can get a sense of what was happening at the Three Skulls, but they were not focused anymore on Dead Man's Hand. But I also made it clear that you understood that that place was abandoned, right? There was nobody coming in, nobody coming out. They hadn't boarded it up or anything.
I mean, having Ash murdered by the dead seems, poetic.
Mm-hmm.
And Olm did say it was Hollow's business.
Mm-hmm.
I think we gotta go. I think we have to try to check out the governor's mansion.
All right,
Maybe they didn't find it all.
Maybe there's something there.
let's go.
I mean,
It's a step.
we're playing in a lake that's too big for us.
It's true.
All right. To the mayor's then?
Sure.
Has anyone noticed our shenanigans up here? Oh, that is, has anyone do we see anyone watching us, or a mob coming up to what are you doing?
Yeah, so you step out and kind of, you guys are very focused on this discussion. Aldrich is very focused on resealing the tomb, and you take a moment to kind of take in the town. About three-ish in the afternoon now, I think, and people seem to be going about their business, Facilla. But there's a quietness about the Hollows. I think when you first remember coming here, maybe it was because it's the first town you've ever been to that you didn't grow up in. The place seemed vibrant and alive, and people were talking about tomorrow, and there's just people just doing their thing now, and you couldn't explain to somebody why you feel that way, Vasilla, but that's what you feel. Other than that, nothing too odd seems to be. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Sure does. All right, well,
let's go have a look at the mayor's house.
preferably by a way that's not super obvious that we just walked into the front door of the mayor's house and broke it in.
Okay. So the mayor's house is about as close to the thanks for the follow, is about as close to the graveyard as our Raven Sisters how it was, but it's on the other side, a little bit farther west. You'd be able to go down the path, the bad path that's the obvious path, not the kind of the back path that Osric mapped out, and you, without too much difficulty, would be able to, if you want to kind of get behind the mayor's house. I think that's very doable with enough time, and I don't know if you're in a hurry.
Get there before dark, but
Oh, it's not going to take hours. I'm talking the difference between getting there in 20 minutes and getting there in 40 minutes. If you spend 40 minutes,
I rather take I'd rather be unnoticed than fast.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to do?
Great. Yep.
Sure.
I think so.
Sounds like a plan.
Said it would take about 40 minutes. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Be right back. So being mindful of eyes, you're a good distance away from the activity in the Hollows. I mean, the graveyard takes up a good third of the entire area. You guys work your way down the path through the graveyard. And I'm now going to have you behind the mayor's house. All indication is you were unseen.
Is there a service entrance?
There's a back door.
I try it.
It's unlocked.
All too easy.
In we go. In I go.
So Vasily, you open the door. And let's see, you've seen the inside of the game master's home. You've been in the Dead Man's Hand. You've been in Three Skulls. I think you actually went to the home of the Fishmaster way back when you told them about the fate of their son. And there's no doubt at one point this was the most opulent that you have seen in the Hollows. Beautiful furniture where homes would only have Spartan functional furniture. This is more crafted. But I'm using the past tense because it's obviously been ransacked. Furniture destroyed. And splintered wood everywhere. You can see frames that held mirrors broken and crushed into pieces onto the ground. You're opening up into kind of what appears to be some sort of living area. As best as you can tell, there's a second story as well as two other doors, which are open.
I'll listen.
And you can
Do I
see the
hear
front door
any-
from here.
Yeah. Do I hear any? Does the destruction look like it's gone into the next room?
It doesn't seem limited to where you are.
And B, I don't hear any current destruction or talking or anything. Okay. All right. If I was a mayor hiding stuff, where would I hide it? Fireplace?
I mean, probably look in a study or a
Fireplace.
library first.
They're gonna have gone there already. Either that's ransacked. It's gotta be somewhere hidden. Unless she's got one of those like creaky books.
Well, there was a bookcase, and it's been destroyed, and you can see the remnants of books, but they have been shredded. And the amount of books you see on the floor would not fill that bookcase at any point. There's a huge fireplace with a stone fireplace. Almost the mouth of it's almost as tall as you are, Vasilla. All made of stone with a very thick, what looks like oak mantle.
I'm gonna search the fireplace. In Vasilla's way, I've become convinced that if I was hiding something, because something that the Rust brothers, I don't want the Rust brothers to find, I would clearly have left it in either the floorboards under a rug or in the fireplace. I'm going to start with the fireplace.
All right, give me an insight.
I'm going to like mess with the.
Don't need to push it. No benefit to pushing it. Vasilla's fixated on this damn fireplace. So can you describe to me what Vasilla looking at the fireplace, investigating the fireplace looks like? And it's to give you an idea. It's all natural stone and it's mortared together right into this huge hearth.
Right. So I think she like appreciates it from where she is, and then she kind of like wanders over and picks up like one of the pokers, if there's still like a poker like scattered, and then she starts just like whistling to herself as she like scrapes along the joints, the mortar joints, and like pushing on things, and like she's just like singing herself a little happy tune as she like goes through. She like starts doing scales, like surprisingly structured musical practice for her. Like, and she like modulates, and it's very like mnemonic device for her, right? It keeps her attention. It's like a way for her attention to stay focused. And then she tries all the stones, depending on how long it takes her, and then she'll try up inside if there's something like inside, underneath, like a hidden cubby. So she's just kind of going to work.
What are the three of you doing?
I think while Vasila's doing that, Aldrich's gonna check the front door, and if there's not a way to lock it, like maybe move a chair or something in front of it, just to make sure that no one randomly decides to come up and see what's going on at the mansion today.
Doesn't appear to be any type of locking mechanism or anything, but with a little bit of ingenuity, you can find some boards, I think, to be able to kind of jam and under the door to make it very difficult, at least, right, to open it from the outside.
Enough to give us a good warning if someone's trying to come in.
Yep. Sten and Osric.
Is this a 2-story house?
It is.
Sten's going to take a look around upstairs.
We have Sten going up the steps. Osric?
I was thinking about doing that. I think,
You can come with. It's okay.
yeah, I can go with.
See if you can find some torches. As I'm like tapping on the stone, like,
So,
listening for
out
like
of curiosity, was
hollowness.
Osric the only one with torches?
Like, I only had, like, surely someone else has a torch.
I have my
Like,
lamp.
I don't
Even
do
your
torches.
lamp.
All right. So we have Vasila singing. We have Aldrich making sure that the door is not the easiest thing to open. Sten and Osric, you work your way upstairs, and what you find upstairs is very similar to what you found downstairs. Just destruction, and this was purposeful and no role needed. Somebody's looking for something, right? Who knows whether they found it or not. Vasila, as you're, checking things, hitting things with the poker, reaching up under. Yeah, something leather. You pull it out and look, and you can see it's a leather bound collection of papers tied with a leather strap.
You
I,
find something there, Vasila?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a little like happy trill of like like success. And I throw it over to Aldrich to catch, and I'm like, see, stories lie. I'm gonna go tell Sten, and I'm gonna.
I think Aldrich probably still had like a board in his hand. He had to drop that and catch the book.
And Vasila runs upstairs.
I think while
Yeah,
she's doing that, Aldrich
I
would probably
walk
start
upstairs.
going through it.
Sten is just kind of standing at the upstairs landing, trying to sort of visualize where the rooms are and see if there's any spaces that aren't accounted for in a room, where there might be a hidden room or something.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be Sten. Vasila, you get to the landing, and there's Sten.
Hey, guess what I found?
I have literally no idea.
It's a book.
But I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
I did.
Oh, good.
I just did. Yeah, it's a book. I found it. Did you find anything? Perhaps a sense of humor?
Is it a book about spiders building traps?
Yeah, probably.
Well, we know.
time.
that,
Did you
don't
check
we?
under the carpets? You should check under the carpets.
Thanks. We'll do that.
Let's cut back to Aldrich. Aldrich, this isn't as much a book as it's kind of a leather folder, right? And it's tied by this leather strap, and you untie that strap, and there might be 15, 20 pieces of paper in there, and they're all handwritten. You quickly ascertain they're letters. And in each case, they're addressed to her. And before you start really reading through them, you immediately flip and see the signature. The signature has some sort of stamp and the symbol of rust. And each of these letters are signed Prince Kartorda. Kartorda. Prince Kartorda.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, Craig.
That's all right. Kartorda.
You couldn't write down fast enough because you started with Z and then it wasn't Z.
It's ZK.
The Z is silent.
silent.
And
Interesting.
as you start to scan through these, Aldrich, let's talk about what you pull from it, okay? It seems friendly, and of course, you're only getting one side of this correspondence. You have no sense of what maybe she was sending to him, but it's a back and forth, and that's obvious. There's talk of Sturgis in there, of the Rust brother that was keeping it. It appears this Prince Kartorda said Sturgis stays where he is. He is doing his job. You are protected, as talked about a few times. There's also talk of time running short, that the brothers do need to come and purge the town of the evils and clear the mountain. The trial correspondence is covers maybe 3-4 years in these 15 or 20 letters. And as you get towards the end, there's talk of the plan being in place, and everything promised will be delivered. Trade routes will be opened. The hollows will be protected.
Y'all might want to come take a look at these.
Well, assuming we've found nothing else of interest upstairs, I'll probably come back down. What is it?
Seems the former mayor was in contact with a prince, I guess, of the Rust brothers. Seemed to have some kind of leadership. And it seems their plan is to clear out the tomb in the mountain. Purge the evils.
They say why?
Just seems to be going according to their plan, their grand vision. Beyond that, it looks like the old lady was negotiating for trade routes and protection.
The last letter is very focused on the plan is in place. Everything is working according to what Russ directs. Allow it to unfold, and all promises will be kept. And the date, right around the time you arrived for the first time to the Hollows.
Any references in there to Ash or someone who sounds like him?
Is the Brotherhood split? Or they just betray her? I mean, it is the Brotherhood.
Yeah, or maybe the kid was dumb enough that he just decided this was the right thing to do and had no idea what their actual plans were.
Either that or they were just removing her so they don't have to make good on their promises of protection and trade routes. They just create a power vacuum and sorry, what was that?
Trying to find something.
Yeah.
Maybe this.
It could have been.
Another thing is you're kind of flipping through this Aldrich, and you're reading more, right? As you're explaining it to the other three of them, there is mention of the dwarf problem being part of the solution. A promise that we'll take care of the dwarf.
But Sturgis was A-okay in this, right? He was doing his job.
Every indication in there is that, in fact, there's a few times where again, you're only getting one side of this, right?
Mhm.
There's at least 2 different instances where this Cartorta was insistent that Sturgis stays, and he's doing the work we've asked him to do.
So Ash has screwed up their plan.
Or there's
Maybe.
a division of brothers who have a different vision, perhaps.
Mm.
Hard to say without more information, but wonder if our ghost friend would be capable of seeing evidence, or if she would just continue to stonewall us.
I don't think she cares about anything that's happened in the last 300 years. Zygofer did this to her and her family, and she wants them destroyed, and that's the only thing that matters. Might be worth sharing some of these with the folks who are still capable of thinking for themselves in the town, so they know how big a setup this is.
Is there a location? Does like this Prince Catorta sign from where he's from?
Yeah, it's every at the bottom of it of every letter it says, "In Rust we trust, Prince Cartorta, Hagler's house."
Craig, do they, if we get into the little more details of them, is there any specific mention of like a final fate of the dwarf, or
No,
you said the letters were
They're
from
just
around
going
the
to
first
solve
time,
the dwarf problem.
yeah,
from around the first time we came to the Hollows, not
When he was
that's
still
when
here.
that's when the correspondence appeared to have stopped, right? The last letter that you have found is dated around the time in there, and the crux of that letter, again, only having one side of this conversation, is be patient, promises will be kept, solutions are already in place, wheels are already turning, and yes, we will solve the dwarf problem.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and she died shortly after we left, from what we heard.
Yeah, within a week or so of you leaving.
From Ash, so he has claimed.
Yeah. How
Sturgis.
far apart are the dates on these letters?
They vary, Sten. So they're none of them are more than 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
That's the closest they appear to be. So, there's no mail service here,
Right.
right?
So they're well, now that's an interesting question. You say it's been going on for a couple of years. So they apparently had a way to do this while the mist was up.
You definitely piece that together, Sten.
Well, I wonder how they managed that.
What's his name? Daub mentioned that some people had ways to travel through the mists.
Well, it's entirely possible that she sent off a response to this last one, and the answer hasn't come through yet. But then again, this prince may be showing up with the crew that's on their way here now.
But this one here, this last one, the plan is going to go, trust us. Like this has a very she was questioning it feel right before. You don't. No one.
And then all of a sudden,
continues
there's
the
a big
conversation
change.
saying, "No, for real. Like this, we've got a plan. It's going.
Trust me, we
She was
got this." Yeah.
agitated, right? So why was
Seems
she
that way.
agitated? Is there a timeline earlier? Were they late on the timeline?
You don't get a sense of that, right? I mean, if there was any directions given by this prince to her, and again, in this one side of the conversation, it was stay put, right? You are protected. Keep the town under control. No, Sturgis is not going anywhere, and we will take care of the dwarf problem. We've got this. But it does seem that part of this plan is some very religious text about the purge, the cleaning, the cleansing.
I think they're going to kill the town. I think they're going to kill the whole town.
They wouldn't kill it. They might kill everybody in it and take over themselves.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Do you ever wonder why there's a third of the town is a cemetery?
I mean, the town has kind of an obsession with death. You got the dead man's hand and the 3 skulls, and
A large 2 cemeteries.
Yeah, but that seems like a.
Oh, the second
It's like, you know when
cemetery was
someone
so
gets
the dead
sick,
stopped walking.
you know, like you're you know when like Farmer Tim's like horses started getting sick, and all of a sudden he was obsessed with horse like health and whatever kind of disease was going through. It's just like I don't think the cemetery is the result of their obsession. I think the cemetery is the cause of their obsession, right?
sure.
Or the tomb.
And why was it called the Hollows before? Hollow what? Hollow of what? What was hollow? The mountain? Was the mountain hollow?
Hmm.
Well, I think that's a lot of questions we're not going to find answers to right now.
Something doesn't smell right.
Hasn't since we began, but what are we going to do?
And Vic left, right? Vic's the most sensible person in the town, and he knew that
Like, yeah.
bad wind was coming. Why do you think that? Like, was it just like his hunter's instincts, like going
Well, I
chiming
mean,
like crazy?
I think with the murders, he thought things were going
and
downhill and
the
wanted to take
news
care of
of
his family.
brothers arriving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely mentioned that, Aldrich.
This town has changed a great degree since we left and returned. And it's only going to keep
Sturgis
changing.
was a bad brother. Ash said Sturgis was a bad brother, right?
That was apparently part of the plan.
And yet all these letters say Sturgis was staying and just doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you tell a crony exactly what they need to hear to get them to do what you need them to do. This might have been this prince's way of clearing out multiple problems at once.
Or maybe it was just left, though Russ Brothers didn't seem like a threat until it was too late.
And
Rather than just charging in with a full force, they can take over the town quietly without too much resistance.
but they already had it, right? All the leadership in the town was already on their payroll, right? Like, seems like the mayor was in, Sturgis was in. The only person that wasn't was our midwife friend, right? I mean, the people
and the
were
dwarf.
and the dwarf.
And the mayor sounded like she was having second thoughts.
And this Hyler house can get around during the blood mist. What if the mist was Zygerfer's like body like exploded into like a mist, and then they're trying to, because the war is still going on right now, there's these demons come back, and what if they're like found a way to congeal this mist back together, like the way that those bodies were at first retreat, right, where they were like kept alive and then they like dissipated as soon as the magic of the demon priest was killed, right? And he was surviving off of the bodies of souls, blood, whatever, of the kids.
think we got too many questions and not enough answers.
Well,
I am trying to understand Ostric's compass right now.
Me too. Like, I'm trying to figure out if this is leading us to Yawin in some way. Does this lead me to, like, is Sturgis like, if Sturgis was a double agent, right? Let's say, then the guy in charge would still say, yeah, Sturgis is doing his job, right? That's what a double, if we assume that he's a double agent and he's doing a good job, then the guy in charge thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's actually doing the wrong thing. So now I'm like, well, wait, is that guy on Sturgis' side? Is Sturgis a rogue from him? There's so many questions, and it just, the permutations have bubbled out. And
Well, so let's pause for just a second to get a meta a little bit here. Because I think we can, especially when there's so many threads, right, and so many mysteries, it's very easy for it suddenly to be Brian, Jim, and Dave and Nate playing. Right. So let's stop for a second and let's think about and talk about, what does Osric care about? What does Sten care about? What does Aldrich care about? What does Vasila care about? Because I wonder if that might offer some direction, right? So, for you, Osric,
so I think,
so much is going on here, right?
right.
It's almost overwhelming, right? So that's why I'm trying to figure out his compass right now.
And I think one of the things, of course, is still in the back of his mind is justice for the midwife.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like this is pursuing that thread. And I think that the protecting the innocence of this town is an important thing for him. And I'm trying now to figure out if there's anything in these letters that helps me do that.
How about for Sten? What does Sten care about right now?
I mean, Sten would love to find something we can do to help the innocent people here in the Hollows out. But honestly, he doesn't feel like there's any kind of magic solution that will save them from this army of Rust Brothers that are coming. So he's trying to find a good way to encourage us to move on, because he thinks this town is lost.
Aldrich?
Ironically, Aldrich thinks there is a magical solution, and it's just past the ghost. And if there's a potential way to reason with said ghost, with perhaps evidence that a bunch of Rush Brothers are going to come kick in her door and mess with her husband and her child, maybe there's a shot in the dark there.
But why does Aldrich care about this? Is this about the exploration of magic? Is this about caring about the town? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
and
what does Aldrich care about?
It is the curiosity of magic and the unwillingness to let the Hollows fall to the Rust Brothers if he can prevent it, and if there is a way, and he feels that he felt a way to prevent that.
And Vasila?
Vasila's trying to find a way out from under the trap. She feels like the four of us are trapped in this, like, with this heavy weight, because we found these artifacts. We were just out, like, looking around, and we found these artifacts, and now we're in a big old story, and we're little bugs, and we're gonna get squished, and needs to, because we have, right, like, we thought we were okay, and then a giant demon lady whooped our ass, and then a dragon showed up and whooped our ass. Like a chump with a sword is my forte, but Oscar can do it. But so that's what her, she's trying to find a way out.
So while this conversation is happening, what I'm imagining, and you guys tell me if you want something different, I'm imagining the four of you kind of doing your thing, right? Reading these letters, exchanging papers between the two, the four of you. Maybe Oscar doesn't give a shit. I don't know. Obviously checking the place out, right? Stripping it down. Nothing else is really found. I'm going to put us towards right on the brink of the third quarter. So it's around 6 o'clock at night. And I want to take us back to the characters.
So, figure we can use this. Look, there's nothing the four of us can do about the Rust Brothers. We can tell the folks in town that aren't part of home for this place about what's happened and how it's been set up. But if anything else, that'll just divide them against each other and make it that much easier for the Rust Brothers to come in. I don't think there's a damn thing we can do here to stop it. Unless we want to head upriver and try and cut them off at the pass. I don't see that ending real well. There's a lot of problems going on around here. I don't think we can solve all of them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe our right answer is to try and find the rest of these gems and try and save the world or rule the world or whatever it is. I don't know what we're talking about.
And now you want to rule the world?
I don't. But I don't want any of these other assholes doing it.
That's for sure.
I mean, we're looking at trying to solve little problems as we go, and they're just going to always be more of them. Maybe we need to
keep
try
getting
and
bigger.
start do something big.
I hate to leave these people. I think you may be right.
Well, I just want the big ghost in the center crypt to be on our side.
Well,
I can only tell you what I experienced, but whatever is in there is strong. Like, kind of nods over to the scepter, because I imagine he's like put his pack down at some point. Like, almost that kind of energy. It's loud at the very least.
That's exactly what it was, even though you couldn't hear it, Aldrich.
I think we got to make a run at that ghost. Like,
We have evidence at the very least.
she's not
Maybe
gonna
that
budge.
we don't know. Maybe she communicated. She was stubborn,
But she doesn't.
but she communicated.
She doesn't know anything about this village. This village wasn't here when she died.
Right, but we have a clear writing that says they're going to bust in her door and defile the one thing that she is sitting there protecting in her
If she's
Moby
protecting
sadness.
she's Nan. She's Nan, that old donkey. She's dug in. She's never moving.
Yeah, and we told her they were coming, and she didn't seem to give a damn.
I don't
She's
know.
the one holding it back.
I mean, I'm not afraid to go back up there and talk to her again. I just don't think it's going to do a damn bit more good
What-
than it did the first time.
What if you hit that lantern with the green lamp with the scepter?
That sounds horrible.
That's
Now I feel like
mean,
we're
I
doing
don't
an
know
old
if that was
text
Osric or
adventure
Jim, but I
game.
think we both think that sounds terrible.
Use rope on door. Use scepter on brazier.
Let's get 4 stories up from ground level. Let's cause an
Oh,
earthquake.
right. Yeah, just cause an earthquake
in the
on a
hollows.
potentially
While we're
hollow
under-
mountain.
Ground.
That's
fine.
probably not my first play I'd make. I don't know. That's
Well,
my
we can't try
hunch.
anything-
But
So we can't try anything at night, right? Unless you think her husband gets up at night, but then all the ghosts are going to be wandering around. They didn't seem too friendly last time. We could kick in the door and let him kill Ash. At least that would be
Yeah,
just.
we don't know. They might try to kill everybody. And not everybody in that inn probably deserves it.
Probably not.
We could go to Hagler House while they're all up here trying to take down the mountain.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's go to their home base.
Well, they seem to know more than we do.
Yeah, you think they'll tell us anything?
I mean, not
Maybe right before
not-
they kill us.
not if they ask you nicely. Just use that stand charm.
How do we feel about Yawen?
Don't care.
I don't
mean-
think he deserves to be.
No, he doesn't. But I think that's another little problem we can't solve.
That one's probably beyond our scale unless we find ourselves having to bust down the doors of Heckler House. Which, if we're at that point, we've probably gone too far.
I mean, I want to save everybody and get them what they deserve. I don't think we can.
What if we're not the heroes of the story? What if we're like the sidekicks that deliver the goods to the heroes?
Well, then let's go
That'd be
find the
nice.
goods. And maybe find the heroes. Problem is, we need to figure out who the heroes are.
Well,
Just keep running
Goldeneyes
into
don't
Rust
want the
Brothers.
stuff.
Do that. To the mines? Vargal seems to have been the least terrible of the people we've encountered.
I mean,
Welcome to Forbidden Lands, home of the least terrible.
yeah, the ones that are the least terrible immediately die.
Well, right.
They have so far.
The second least terrible, if you
Or actually the worst.
Let's take one more run at the tomb tomorrow, and then if we can't figure out how to get past the ghost or take out the lantern, then we. can
What
head
are
on
we
down
going to
the
do
mines.
when we go in there? Going to say, hey, just like we said yesterday, the Rust Brothers are coming in. You sure you don't want to do anything?
Well, I put out 4 fucking theories, Stan. No, all I keep telling is I'm gonna make an earthquake, or no, we can't, or we're gonna stand there and cry about being old. I don't know.
I mean,
Do you think they're not
We
going to
wanna-
come and find us and kill us with the scepter and the sword? They know our
That's-
names. They know who
Yeah,
we are. They
yeah,
know where
then
we're
maybe
from.
we better get as much as we can to help us fight back. I don't think standing here and talking to a 300-year-old ghost who doesn't give a shit about anything other than killing Zertorm is going to get us any closer to any way that we can stay alive with these guys chasing us. I think if
Yeah,
we
that's why I'm
know there's
saying
stuff
not
we
to
can use to
talk to
roll.
her.
So what? Just go
She's
in
standing in the way
and
of the
kick
ghost
down
that
the
can
door.
help
And
us.
what tells you that he can help us? What tells you that he'll even wake up? They said he can't leave.
She said he can't leave. The one that's crazy and can only say Zertome over and over and over again.
Zygofer.
Weep at her daughter's or son's grave.
And just real quick, Aldrich, as that conversation is happening, you remember the 2 dim things you sensed.
She's the trap. She's the lock. He has to have power, or else his minions wouldn't stand up every day and go and beat down the door of a
When she said
inn
they were
because people
his,
got killed.
did they mean her? Did she mean her husband, or did she mean Zygofer?
I don't think that was
Her
clear.
husband's
That was not
That's
clear.
that's why I'm asking the
It was
said they
question.
were
definitely not
loyal
clear to me.
to him,
but
not to her.
Yeah, but she didn't specify which him she was talking about. Look, I'm happy to go back up there and dick around in the crypt some more. I just don't think it's going to do us any good. If you got a plan, let's go do it.
Fine, I'll take the
I
scepter.
think
and
it's
hit the
worth a
fucking
shot.
Light.
Nate, remind me.
Yeah, what's up?
You had a little ghost party, right? You talked with the little
Yes.
girl ghost.
Yes.
Do we remember if that little girl ghost was like a serving girl or was
Unconfirmed. Just a
like
child.
the kid. Unconfirmed.
well,
Okay.
From the
so-
sound of it, it's not the child. His
No,
child.
there was mention of a son.
Yeah. This was just a child. As far as Aldrich
Okay.
knows.
So the wait, there was mention of a son.
Yeah, she said that Zygerfer had killed
Killed.
her husband, and her son.
And the ghost girl was a girl. So the girl
Yes.
was not the son.
Correct.
Okay.
Are we doing anything tonight, or are we holding up here, or are we going to head out of
I think we
town?
should.
Go ahead.
If we don't sleep tonight, we will be fatigued, right? So we need to sleep the fourth quarter.
We got 2 quarters left in the day, right? You guys have
Yeah,
already,
sleep one of them.
yeah, you've eaten and drank, so you're good there. The only thing you need to avoid now is sleepy.
And also scepter damage. But
Right.
yeah,
That's what you get to look forward to.
that's right.
Everyone's
Good
favorite.
old scepter damage. So do we think that there would be a difference in the tomb at night? That would be
Well, there's going to be a bunch of grabby hands on the way up there. That's for sure.
pursuing. Possibly.
We could go look at Sturgis's place, see if he's got any hidden information. If he was a double agent.
You could go back through the kind of the
Lydia
backside
was
of the
like
hollows and get
friends
there.
with him, right?
Say that one more time, Craig. Sorry.
So you can go. There's his place was on the west side and was pretty isolated, so there would
Mm.
be no difficulty getting there from here unseen.
We could do
Well.
that, I guess, but
Let's take a look.
Well, it's not going to hurt us to go check it out. Probably.
famous
and-
last words.
Yeah, and we can use an hour of this third quarter and not give up
Mhm.
any activities for the third quarter, so I'm
Right.
okay with that.
And honestly, we can probably crash in one of these houses and not have to worry about making camp.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
plan.
All right, let's see if there's anything useful in Sturgis's place.
So the 4 of you are strategic and careful, taking
Aren't we
advantage of
all, Greg?
what's that?
Aren't we always?
Yeah, okay.
Strategic and careful is
let's
not
talk about
typically
diseases again. The 4 of you work your way using a lot of the older areas of the hollows, the part of the hollows that's not used on a daily basis, to work your way down south. And Sturgis lived on the western part of the river, but there was nothing near him, right? There was no homes or anything. It was a very isolated area. And you get there, no locked doors, but you get inside. Not sure what you expected, but I think you expected something. It's empty. And I don't mean nobody's there. I mean, there's floors, there's walls, and there's ceilings.
Is there sign like, are there dents and scratches on the floor like when furniture was here?
Oh, yeah. It's
So
been
it's just
lived
been
in.
cleared out.
Is it a simple one-room cottage kind of place?
It's a lot more modest than Miss Palmer's was. A lot simpler, but nicer than the Fisherman's Place. Nicer than the Game Master's, but smaller.
I'm gonna check the fireplace in the same place. See if I can get lucky twice.
Let's do an insight roll. 2 successes. With those 2 successes, you find nothing.
Not shocking.
Not
Combed through
not
this place
nearly
pretty
as
good.
yeah, not nearly as opulent or as well made. But I think more importantly, let's give you something for those 2 successes. Nothing was taken from the fireplace, right? So the one thing that you do notice as you kind of go through Sturgis's place is that there's no loose stones that were pulled away. There's no right. This place is just was cleaned out.
And Circus, timeline wise, was killed after the mayor.
I don't know if you know that.
It was right around the same time. I don't think we know exactly.
Yeah, I think the way that these murders were reported to you is that they were very close to each other, but I don't know if the
I think Olm
order.
said something about Palmer died and then Sturgis died, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, and that may be
sounds
true.
right. Yeah.
And that he might have just been saying stuff. Olm.
What if he ran? Like he's
Well,
not
Ash
dead.
said he killed him.
Well, I thought he killed him, maybe.
I don't know.
But he killed 2 other people, so
The town, the people of the town seem to be under the impression that I don't know if anyone ever saw a body.
Ash claimed he did.
Yep.
Reliable narrators and all that.
all right. Well, at least it gives us an open space to set up our bedrolls.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull out the party sheet. Who's doing what? We don't need anybody to make camp.
Woohoo!
That's exciting.
I'm going to work on remembering every bit of legend and song and snippet of thing I can think of about ghosts and getting rid of them and specifically the hollows. If like there was a wordplay around using the word hollows to like have like a meaning around like containing something, like just gonna work on.
All right, so this quarter day, we're gonna do a lore roll, but we're gonna have you going through these letters, right, and trying to remember the stories and the songs and all of that. So that's what we'll have Vasilla doing this quarter day, which inevitably has her sleeping the 4th quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
How about Aldrich?
Sten, Osric, why don't you two rest? I'll keep watch while Vasilla ruminates over the information we have.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, so we got Sten sleeping, Osric sleeping. Let's get a lore roll from Vasilla, and then a keep watch roll from Aldrich.
I'm gonna push that. This
Mhm.
has gotten pretty important to me.
There you go.
Oh, there's the breakthrough we needed.
Wait a minute. These are all in code.
Ding!
Holy Christmas! 3 successes.
0 to 3. Oof.
Aldrich just lights the lantern over Vasilla's head.
So at 2:42,
Like the meme, like just like the code goes by.
Beautiful mind.
he sees the Matrix. All right, let's keep the obviously less exciting keep watch roll.
Yeah, I don't know if I can
I don't know.
beat that hype.
Anything
Enough.
could be coming.
Okay, 1 success. So we have Aldrich going window to window. We have Sten and Osric putting the bedrolls out. The good news about this place being cleared out is Vasilla has a lot of room. Right. So she spreads the papers out and is going. She's singing to herself. And
Are there push pins and string on the wall? When we
yeah, let's step through those successes, Vasilla. So the first success, let's talk about ghosts. Ghosts in all your stories and everything you remember they were either bad or bad was done to them. They were always bound, but the binding could be their own or something else. Everybody, when they dies, passes. So it takes a lot to stop the rest. So whatever creates or allows a ghost to happen has to be powerful. It has to have a lot of meaning, whether it's self-inflicted or not, right? There can be enough happening or enough that it could be self-inflicted. A ghost, someone bitter enough, vengeful enough, right? Could keep themselves from rest. But it's also very possible that somebody else or something else could keep something from rest. So that's your first success. A lot about the ghosts. The last piece for that first success, a lot of it's the binding tends to be ritual based. Again, whether self-inflicted or not. So about the second success. The whole countess thing and the kid thing and the hollows thing, like you just start running through it in your brain, right? And yeah, you've never heard of the hollows until you came to the hollows and stuff like that. Then you kind of remember a childhood rhyme that when you put it on top of the hollows and what you know about the hollows, suddenly like the things line up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This childhood rhyme is about a mother who loves too much. And gives away all the berries, and her family starves. And the reason it connected for you is at the end, the moral of the story and why people would talk about it and sing this song is they would present it as a moral problem, which is, did she betray her family or did she do the right thing? And as you think about that song, you start thinking about Countess Ursula. And it just connects for you. The third success. You think about timing. You're trying to figure out why the hell did the dead do something different that next night? Ash wasn't dead. Nothing changed with Ash, right? So Ash couldn't have been the driver. And this is one that I think you spend the most time on. This is your third success. What changed, Vasilla? What changed? F instead broke the symbol.
Don't put this evil on me.
That's the only thing Vasilla can piece together that was different between the dead being aggressive and attacking and them stopping. You might be wrong. When you think about what changed, that's what you come up with. Does that satisfy 3 successes? You good, Dave?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
A lot to chew on. My brain was working.
All right. Fourth quarter.
Snoozing.
Snooze it.
It's done
Maybe
on
I'll
Oscar.
watch.
Did you say you're keeping watch?
I mean, I'm happy to, or you can if you'd rather.
I can keep watch. You
Okay.
could do a thing, whatever that thing is.
My thing is probably going to be something boring like spending XP, which is not.
You know?
So, Osric, let's do your keep watch while Sten decides what he's going to do.
Oh, that's not the right button. Let's try that button. We're going to suggest that I'm not wearing my great helm when I do this.
Good idea.
Good call.
My dice. Oh, no. I guess I'm gonna push it. Oh, even better.
Hey,
You
get some
sure you don't
willpower.
want me to watch?
No, I got it. It's fine.
So before we decide what Sten's doing,
Mm-hmm.
you fail to keep watch. It damages your wits.
Mhm.
While I
Mhm.
talk to Sten, I want Jim to think about what explains this role. Okay, so you don't keep watch as well as you should have, and it damages your whips. What is Sten doing?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Um, Sten is honestly probably in a little bit of a mental spiral because he wants to figure out a way out of this thing. Also, it's not something he would have talked to anybody else in the group about. But when the Countess talked about her husband being unable to protect his wife and child, that hit Sten really hard due to his personal history. So I think his intent is probably, I'll work on figuring out how to carry my load better and start working on pack rat. But he probably, you know, just stops and finds himself staring out the window into the darkness sometimes. So I think he actually just doesn't get much of anything done.
I'm going to give you a keep watch roll.
Okay. That is
Somebody should.
scouting.
Yeah, or you can do it up right off the party sheet too.
I got it right here.
So Sten is distracted.
Yeah.
Sten had a nerve hit hard. And Brian, I don't know if this rings, but like the failure of the protection is this guilt that you have carried, coupled with the fact that you're trying to get the 3 people you care about now the hell out of town, and nobody's effing listening to you, right? All of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Osric, you were in charge of keeping watch. You failed and took some wits damage. Do you have a sense of why that happened?
I think Osric is also quite a bit distracted. I think in a very similar vein, he has a lot of the same protector issues. So I think a lot of that's wearing on his mind, and I think I imagine that he maybe even heard a little of the overlap of Vasila's, thought process as we, sort of transition from one side to the other. I can't imagine that that Vasila went, immediately to sleep without having at least some amount of discussion. And so I think a lot of that is just milling over all of these things and trying to determine, where our next steps are, and all of that's been distracting and just isn't able to keep as good an eye on.
So we had 2
where things
failed
might be coming
keep
from.
watch rolls during the 4th quarter of today. We start the morning of the 30th of Spring Rise. So this is good night to fail keep watch. All of you are rested. It's a new morning.
There's a button for that.
Look at that.
Aldrich's pack is away, so we're not going to worry about damage from the scepter yet. Vasila has done a lot of thinking and then had a chance to sleep on it. So I want to cut to morning where Sten and Osric are in their own worlds and Aldrich and Vasila wake up.
Anybody have any good answers come to him in a dream?
Well, this will shock no one, but it came to me in a song. Do you remember the nursery rhyme? about the mom and the berries. She was just like a loving lady and was trying to do right. And then she gave the berries away, and then her family starved. And it's kind of like, I don't know, dark.
Bit grim.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that's the Countess Ursula. I
You
think,
think she gave all the berries away?
yeah, I
Is that
think,
a metaphor?
yeah, it's like the spiders.
Left yourself open for that one.
But like, and like ghosts, right? Ghosts, like, they always are around because something real bad went down, right? And either they get stuck, or or someone sticks them, right? And there's always like, someone like dancing and chanting and burning incense, and you know how the old man always, well, you of course know you're an old man, you tell old man stories, but like, they like talk about like the smell of the incense and go on and drone on about all the like the silliness of the ceremonies, but no one ever just like up and became a ghost, right? Like in any of the stories ever, there's always something that gets them there, like holds them there. So I don't know if she was left alive and made herself bound because her family was killed, but we know the Count was on Zertom's side, and then he wasn't. Zygophil. Zertom's the son.
Yes.
One
The
day.
son.
One day, Craig.
Keep going.
But it's not this day.
So, what are the berries? The stones? Kind of glances over at the scepter and then maybe the hollows was a place to gather and protect them.
Maybe. Bright red berries. I mean,
So you're not saying this is a metaphor about what you did. You're saying literally that nursery rhyme is about her.
I think so. It just feels right.
And you guys are all know this nursery rhyme that Vasila's talking about. And again, Sten and Osric, you have told this nursery rhyme to kids because it teaches the moral conundrum, right? That things aren't always black and white. Things aren't always really clear. And that's really kind of the purpose of using this story, right? So this woman did a good thing, or what she thought was a good thing. She was a good person, and it ended up really bad. So did she betray, so on and so forth. So the ambiguity of this.
Yeah, she helped others at the expense of her own.
Right.
And that's why she's so angry and bitter, and he did it to us, and he couldn't protect us. And
well, you want to go open the crypt up again and call her out on it and tell her it's all her fault? Think that'll go well?
no, like, I don't think that clearly doesn't get us anywhere.
No.
But I appreciate once again you're being helpful too.
I'm just trying to figure out what the plan is.
It's a new day.
We have to get rid of the thing that's binding her. There's always a bind. There's always a talisman or a
Giant glowing green
symbol,
brazier.
or a giant glowing green brazier, right? The stories don't There's 1,000 different ways they get rid
Yeah,
of it.
I just feel like let's assume you're right. Let's think we go in there and we knock down the brazier and she goes away. What does that get us? Then her husband's there, just saw us drive off his wife. If the ghost is even there, we just drove off his wife.
Or we freed her.
Sure, maybe. I guess the real question is, I don't know. I feel like we've made some decisions in the past where we did something because it seemed like a good idea at the time. We didn't really know what was going to happen, and it hasn't always ended well.
The other thing that I kind of figured out was, the ghosts were angry,
Mhm.
and then they weren't. And the only two things that I could think of that happened is you broke the statue, and we beat up Ash, and he used whatever powder. Well, Osric beat up Ash, and he used whatever powder. But he's still alive. If we'd killed Ash and the ghost had stopped, that would make sense.
I thought they were still going after the three skulls. I know we didn't see him doing anything,
Don't know that.
and you didn't see
So
him
they're
last
still
night.
they're still fortifying the three skulls, but you've had no indication, positive or negative, whether
We couldn't
it's just
see.
too far away from where you're seeing, right? The only thing you do know is that they didn't fortify Dead Man's, and the dead were not
ignored.
aggressive that night as far as you could see.
Mm-hmm.
But also that we believe there was no one in there.
There was
Right.
nobody. You saw nobody come in or out, but you weren't there 24 hours.
Right.
But they seem real angry about rust in the square on the shrine.
Well, got rid of all the other shrine statues. That might have been part of it, but regardless. All right. That's good information. What are we doing about it? I hate to keep harping on this, but we need to get some kind of decision. Do we want to go in and talk to the ghost again and see if we can get her knocked out of here and somehow that makes it better?
Talking ain't going to do anything. And I can't say that enough times. We either have to get rid of the green goo place, if that is in fact our bind, or we just go. Like,
this is what I've been saying. I mean, we can go and knock off the thing, but if we can find a way to disrupt it, if it's what's binding her, and if getting rid of her doesn't make things worse, great. I feel like we need to get out of here and get onto something that we at least have some chance of figuring out what's going on.
Where's Aldrich?
Making coffee.
We got two very compelling arguments happening right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think Aldrich's listening. He's just kind of at the window, looking out at the town, at the mountain, if we can see it. I know it led us to trouble. It always has, but found the scepter, and my gut's telling me that whatever's in there is important. But if we don't want to pursue that, that's fine.
In where? In the crypt?
In the crypt.
You know more about this than I do. If you think we need to go there, then let's do it.
yeah, I actually agree with Sten about that. You're the magic man.
I don't think we can leave that stone unturned, not without trying.
Okay. Sten starts packing up his gear.
What's Osric do?
I think that Aldrich has the right of it. Aldrich, or at least I guess Vasilla has the right of it. Aldrich is our resident magic expert, if it were. And
That's how bad it's gotten.
it is the state of things.
He has done more magic than all the rest of us put together.
That's right, and technically Osric doesn't know that he's a that all of his all the consequences are
Magic related.
directly related to that. Exactly. So I don't know that. So obviously he's way better at this than it seems.
You just hate harpies.
Exactly. He 100% protected me from the harpies. And I think the idea of freeing even these spirits would be a boon. So I think that makes good sense.
All right, so I got one question. We get back up there, we roll back the stone. What do we do?
In your logical thinking, Stan.
I just don't want us to stand around up there with our thumbs up our asses again.
Yeah, I think Aldrich goes with the scepter or magic or whatever you can do. I don't think talking to her is going. I'm with you. I don't think talking
Sure.
is going to do us any good. I think it's green brazier, disrupting or bust. Or
You
if
got a
you can
plan for how
sense
to do
there's
that,
somewhere
Aldrich?
else.
I'll do what I can. I think I have solutions. I will try to give her one chance to negotiate, but I won't tarry on it. I will move quickly. You have my word.
Well, let's go.
Maybe we should
Those
get
others are
some.
still getting closer.
Let's get some torches
Yeah,
before we're going.
I mean, I have the lantern.
right.
We can use the lantern.
Should we do food and water before we go?
Sure.
Yes, that seems like a
It's
great
third
idea.
day. I
So we
don't
don't
want to
forget to
die on an
do-
empty stomach.
All the things.
Plenty of supplies. Oops.
Osric thirsty
Osric thirsty.
I am good
and hungry.
for both.
But that's just
All
water.
right. So quick update on where everybody's die are.
I'm still
Uh,
D12, D10. I'm fine.
Oh, my food actually dropped down to a D10, and water still D12.
I'm D12s as well.
A 12 food and a 10 water. So
Does anybody want to spend 5 copper on D12 torches?
Yes. I'll actually help with
Let's
this.
just say, do you just want the lamp so you can carry that instead?
Well, I think I'm going to grab some torches anyway.
It's good to have a
Assuming-
backup in case the
Fair
lamp
enough.
goes out like the torches did.
Fair.
Assuming it doesn't overweigh me because I'm easily weighed.
Actually, I lied to you. It's not D12. It'll be D6 if you have none, right? It doesn't
That's
fill
fine.
you up. Yeah, it's 5 copper per level. So you can spend more
No,
copper.
that
if
will-
you want.
That will put me over my limit because I'm weak as hell. So I will spend the copper, but someone else can carry.
So who wants to up their torch die?
That would
You know,
cover
Osric
me
had
as
room.
well.
that's right. I should have room for a torch.
All right. So why don't you
although
go up to
I-
a D6?
I'm up to a D6.
Aldrich is slowly undoing the work he did the day before. And tell me if I'm wrong, Nate, but I think you're being careful so that you can redo it if need be.
Yep.
Right?
Aldrich absolutely would leave the parts intact.
Yeah. So between the torches, getting up there unseen, the time it takes Aldrich, I'm going to put us at midday. When the door rotates. By the effort of Aldrich and Osric. Same thing as yesterday. Darkness. The brazier is still lit and faint about 15 yards ahead of you.
Am I lighting this torch? Is that what's happening, guys? Roll
I
this
would get
torch.
inside first,
And
just so
for-
you don't have spark it outside for obvious lightings.
For clarity,
did
I
we
would.
need to go ahead?
Do we need to
For
what?
clarity, Aldrich would have the scepter.
Oh,
And then
Okay, take the damage.
That
Yep,
was going to be my
and-
next question.
Yes, and Aldrich will in fact be carrying it as he walks in.
Okay.
I have the lantern.
Wait, so
Back on
if you're
boat,
lighting the
buddy.
lantern, do I need to light the torch?
No, I think that's backup is torches.
Okay, cool. Then I will not roll the torch die.
So I have Vasilla holding the lantern. Osric with shield and empty hand or rust bite.
I think he's still going to leave Rustbite sheathed and sort of be like, on the ready to draw it, but not.
I know Sten's behind. I know Sten don't even need to ask about the bow.
Mhm.
How about
I
Aldrich?
have one job on this ship, Craig.
Where is
The
Aldrich?
ornery.
Two
You have
jobs.
scepter in one hand. Is he
think-
in front of Vasilla, behind Vasilla? Where is he?
I think Aldrich's in front, taking point.
Okay.
He's walking like he has a purpose.
And behind you is Vasilla with the lantern.
Oh, and we re-wedge the door. Oh,
Okay, so it won't close on you, right? Or reduces the chances of it being
Mhm.
closed on you. No need to roll again. We'll carry over that.
we find the
Aldrich
lock.
figured it out,
Like that
right?
we had to clarify that it just reduced the chances.
Vasilla and Aldrich, you're closest to the lantern. Pillars holding up this corridor haven't changed. It's the same skulls carved, the same demon faces carved. But it's hitting different. They feel more ominous. They're not looking at each other anymore. They're looking at you, though nothing changed. You're halfway into the corridor. And it's silent.
Just continuing to move through the silence. Almost like it's a physical presence just pushing forward towards the green fire.
I'm going to stop for a second at a threshold you haven't crossed yet, which is corridor into the chamber. You let me know when you make the stop or if you do something before then.
And Lady Ursula hasn't made her presence known.
You see nothing, you hear nothing.
I will approach the brazier.
Aldrich, you step across. Your second foot makes it across. You're still a good 8 feet from this thing. You've got that scepter in your hand. There's a lot of magic here. Sten sees it. Osric sees it, and so does Vasilla. Aldrich, you do not see the blue and the green that seems to come out of the walls, out of the brazier, out of the sarcophagus to the right. It condenses into Ursula between you and that brazier, standing at least 2 foot taller than she did the night before. Real quick for the players, do I go to credits? Do we have time?
I'm good.
I can go.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Let's roll for
Let's
initiative.
go.
No!
Ghost fight!
Oh no!
Sorry, guys. I had a plan.
Craig really wanted to use his new initiative.
Yeah.
points, and
Right?
All right, so
I feel
give
like
me a
we're being
second.
railroaded just so we can use this.
Oh,
initiative.
dude, this
I know,
whole,
right?
these 24 episodes have been the best railroad I've ever run.
It was all about getting this one card.
You
flip to
guys,
work.
like, this is it. This is the finale.
This is it. This is what it's
I
all
mean,
been
it
leading
might
up
be.
to, folks. Yikes.
I mean, do arrows hurt ghosts? I don't know.
Gonna find out,
It's
aren't we?
all
All right,
just
so we're going to
excellent.
select our token and draw our cards.
I don't seem to be able to select my
I
token.
can't select my token, Craig.
We can't select
Done.
our tokens.
Okay, Dave can.
I did.
Well, and he's special.
I need to select my token.
I'm gonna reload
I'll
the
have to click it.
page. Yeah, literally
I-
nothing is happening on the left.
Oh, I know
side.
why. Because I opened the calendar because I wanted to know what day it was.
There's your
And
problem.
you gotta switch
Dude,
back
that
over
was
to the
your
Weeble.
63rd mistake.
Ah, there we go.
Ooh, is that a 1?
I got the 1.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Let's,
Seems apropos.
Oh. It's concerning almost.
okay, before I'm going to begin combat, any switching around so that in Forbidden Lands, the players can switch their cards. Right now, we've got Aldrich, Sten, Ursula, Osric.
Are we gonna get a
Vasilla.
song from Vasilla?
I mean, I'm waiting for Aldrich to make. I think Aldrich
Yeah,
should
I
keep
feel like
one.
at
He
Yeah,
best,
is-
Aldrich should definitely go
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, Vasilla
makes
could
a
move
lot
to
of sense.
second is
Yeah,
a
you want to
question.
swap Vasilla and Sten?
That's fine.
Okay.
I have to do that. Oh,
I am good with that.
Okay. It messes with the numbers, but the order's right.
Close enough. Okay.
Yep.
2.5.
Aldrich, here's what happens.
Mhm.
She appears before you, coming from nowhere and everywhere all at the same time. She's bigger, taller, angrier, and threatening. You beat her for initiative, but you know she has no goodwill.
Okay.
You have a slow and a fast action.
You know what? Fight or flight response. And just immediate snap decision. And this is the terriblest plan of all terriblest plans. But that little voice, that little Vasilla voice in the back of his head, just hit the brazier with an earthquake. What could happen?
No.
So
Now you roll credits, Greg.
Ghost shows up and Aldrich just boom. And I'm gonna roll a d6 to see the power level of this earthquake. That is gonna be an 8 power level earthquake.
Oh dear.
Straight to the brazier.
We had a good run. We had a good run, you guys. It's been great.
Oh my god! High five.
I broke him.
No, I'm
Before
trying
he
to figure out
breaks
the order.
us.
I'm trying to figure out the order.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Sten,
man.
Osric, Vasilla, I don't know how much of a plan you had.
We trusted him to have a plan.
What's that saying about everybody having a plan right up until?
Right until
But
a force 8
she
earthquake.
appeared in front of Aldrich. Did you panic, Aldrich? Or was
Yes.
this the plan?
no, this was a snap decision. Like, if she's here and she's just immediately gonna jump to tussle, I'm gonna break something.
And you've seen the hilt of this thing hit ground more than once. And each time it's been devastating. It slams. Hits this ground. There's nothing.
Oh no.
You have a fast action, Aldrich.
Hmm. I don't know how she's gonna attack. I think it's almost a freeze, but he's standing ready now. Like he's like the scepter. He's kind of like in a crouched position. The scepter's like touching the ground, and he's just got an eye on her, and he's just waiting to see what she does. So I'm holding my fast action.
Everything that scepter has taken from you is back. Restore anything you've lost from it.
Oh,
Oh dear.
oh, okay.
That's
Like, that
concern.
sounds like such a good
Is-
thing. And
is
yet
it,
it sounds
though?
awful.
Right.
It sounds awful, Craig.
Healing sounds ominous.
Priscilla's next.
You broke the scepter.
I'm going to run to the brazier, and then I'm going to
fast
just
action?
like slam my shoulder into a deceit, like to try to knock it over.
You run to the brazier. That's your fast action. Slow action.
Just gonna
Need a
try to
might
like
roll.
use my weight here.
Craig, can I
Right.
assist Vasilla in her attempt to push the brazier? Like, can I try and, I don't know, put an arrow into it to try and wedge it
That would have
loose or help?
That would have to be a setup when it's your initiative,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
This is my best skill. Yeah.
Whoa!
Priscilla slides past Aldrich. This Ursula Countess was focused on Aldrich, became very, very focused on the scepter, and does not even notice Vasilla as she sleeks past. And with a shoulder, she rams herself into this brazier with this fire that's providing this greenish hue broken light. And she bounces back and grab your shoulder. You don't take any injuries or anything, but you fall right to the ground. The one thing I will tell you is, you know, when you're near a campfire and you put your hand towards the campfire and the heat doesn't surprise you, there was no heat. That surprised you.
Does my fast and my slow.
Yeah. Ursula's pretty focused.
Uh-oh.
Hey, where's the one-armed man?
Secret dice.
Oh wow.
She stares at you. And if you were looking down at the scepter, something tells you to look up. And when you do, her mouth opens. And whatever beauty you saw in that face goes away as it distorts and the mouth elongates. And you hear the scream. So we've got a fear attack with 7 dice.
Ooh.
This resonates through all of you.
Great.
Fills your ears, fills your mind. Aldrich, you don't lose the scepter, but you almost feel like you can't hold it because you're vibrating. Usually it's it vibrating. She rolled 0 successes. Stan.
Well, since she seems to be doing attacky things, I guess I'm gonna try and shoot her. No idea if it'll work, but it's
I'm
kind
going to
of
put you at a -1 for the
okay.
lighting situation.
All right, that seems reasonable, yes. So I will do longbow. I have sharpshooter. That
Nate, can you
cancels
quickly
out
look up
that
fear attacks
modifier.
for me? I just want to have that handy.
No reason.
And, you know,
Like I'm
for
90%
instance.
sure what to do, but I want to be 100% sure.
It's a hell of a shot.
What were you aiming for?
Honestly, center mass, because I don't know if ghosts have any weak spots.
And when you saw her last night, her center mass would be blocked by Aldrich. Aldrich was a larger man than her, but tonight that's not the case, right? So easily you're able to line this shot up to go right to the right of Aldrich's ear, right above his right shoulder. And the design in her dress almost provided a crosshair, even though it flickers, even though it's not clear. And your arrow goes straight through to that target.
Cool.
It continues on past her. That's your
So
slow
correct.
action.
I'm going to run up to where the brazier is.
All right, so that's your fast action.
Bessie, you and me do this together.
So Craig, for fear attacks, it's just damage to wits for successes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
They all have a range of
Thank you.
near. Some do multiple, some do single.
Yeah.
So pretty basic.
Ostrich. So let's talk about what we've seen, right? We've seen Sten shoot an arrow and it passes right through her. We've heard a
First shot I've
scream,
ever made, by the way.
a scream that disoriented you, made you shake inside. Because it almost like wasn't the voice didn't come from her mouth. You saw her mouth open and heard the voice in your head. Vasila has run into the brazier and fallen back. Sten is now headed towards the brazier. Aldrich is face to face with this thing.
Did Aldrich tell us about his magic sensing experience?
Yeah, I think I've made it clear that I can. Are you talking about specifically in here?
I mean, you certainly said there was more stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you think you might have shared, Aldrich?
Around
How
the space
specific?
of is there
So whenever we were in here, I pointed out that there was something powerful in the brazier and something further beyond that was like tingling loud. I don't think Aldrich mentioned the two smaller, the kind of muffled senses, almost because he was distracted by the other two sources. I did specifically point out the brazier as something that was loud.
So I think I'm going to draw Rustbite. And I think I want to move around her and towards what would be the central sarcophagus tomb.
Okay, so there's let's imagine that the door between the opening between the corridor and the chamber is south. In the center of this circle, which you now can see, is this brazier. And on the northern part of this circle are 3 sarcophagi and alcoves. The center one is this ornate one, which she was standing, made sure she was between Aldrich and it when she came yesterday. The one to the right of it, and the one to the left of it was the smaller one, the one that she was crying in front of before Aldrich got there. So, Ostrich, you are going to use one fast action to get to the that'll get you in the chamber,
and I'll have to draw my weapon.
Right.
And I think that's me.
That'll be both. Yep.
And I think I might say something to the effect of Count, whatever your name is. What do I have? Nepala, Count Nepala, we beseech you. please aid the people of the Hollows.
Do we want to change the order? This is round 2.
Do Vasila and I need to go together to do our thing?
I think you
Well,
whoever's
have to
gonna
go
do the
first.
assist has to go first.
Okay.
But it can go around the horn, right?
Okay. So I mean, yeah, I'll if I guess we're okay leaving the order where it is, unless anybody has a better idea.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to go first just to see if there's something I can do.
Yeah.
You good?
Go first. Yep.
Aldrich.
So seeing that she seems interested at the very least in the scepter, I think Aldrich's gonna like kind of keep eyes locked with her, and he's got that kind of shaking, like he's trembling from that screech, and he just kind of lifts the scepter and is, Lady Ursula, please, we mean to protect you and your family from Zygophorus followers, and I'd like to try a manipulation roll.
Well, I'll call for the rolls.
Okay, that is my intent.
Don't you tell me when to roll.
You yell that at her. And she looks at you and just says, fool. You've used 0 actions.
Um,
Fire is fireball.
not that crazy.
I'd like to point out that we're in a small enclosed space.
Yeah.
I didn't ask how big the room was.
Hoping that might do something.
You hit the nuclear button and nothing happened.
Yeah,
Right.
we know.
You tried to reason with her. She called you a fool.
Mhm. Okay. I think at that point, seeing that she has 0 interest in cooperating, we're gonna make a play. I'm gonna rush past her, and I'm going. It's probably not gonna work, but I'm gonna try to dispel the fire.
That's
Dispel
interesting. Okay.
magic.
Fascinating.
Power level?
It's just gonna be my one willpower I have left. So
Oh, good. We went into here when you had 1 willpower. This is
I
a
know,
great
right?
plan. I'm
is a
totally
great-
in favor of everything that's happened.
Hey,
maybe
Aldrich,
if
how
she
you,
had done,
how you feeling about the magic right now? Ish.
maybe
Let's
if
go.
she'd done some willpower or some wits damage, I'd have had a bit more juice here. But she decided to whiff, so we take what we've got. So this will be power level 1, 2 if I get a 6. So power level 1.
I'm trying to think of the last time you dispelled magic.
It's been a minute.
It's not the
I think it
first
was
time.
against like the fire elemental.
Yes, it was.
Hmm.
I think it was against the woman.
I might have
And-
tried it there.
I don't think it worked.
And-
No, it did not.
No, but you felt the force, right? So you felt you pushing towards this creature, this fire elemental woman. You could tell that you were exerting power. What was it left you and headed towards her, and it met her, and it didn't have enough. You weren't ready. You weren't there. This time you do the same push, and it reaches nothing. It never leaves you. It's still there. You feel the power. It's around you. It's in your hands. It's in your arms. It's coming from you, but never leaving you.
Ah,
You have a fast action.
I moved
Broke
to get to the
package.
brazier.
Okay. Osric. Or no, Vasilla, sorry.
I'm gonna look up with the lantern and see if there's any other exits out of this room.
There are not.
Are there any like anything in the fire that's like called that the fire is bleeping out of? Like obviously like the brazier's like holding it, but I don't know if there's like a token or some kind of like cause of fire inside the
With all this looking around, give me a quick insight.
character sheet. I need you.
Don't fail me now.
Come
We'll count this
on,
as a
okay.
fast action. Are you really scrambling or are you good?
No, I think we're pretty much on scramble. So I'll scramble.
Oh,
Oh no. What's
So
that
I
do?
get for that lore roll. Oh well.
Where's your wits?
I think I'm just like losing it. Like Aldrich like tried to press the mute button and it didn't do anything, and I'm just like, well, if he doesn't know what's going on, I have no idea what's happening. And I just think I'm just like not.
Does
Like,
this break you?
moving
I
to-
guess is what I'm asking. How many wits
No,
do you
no,
have?
no. I'm at one. I'm at one.
Okay.
Not quite.
So yeah, panic sets in, right, Vasilla?
Yeah.
Panic sets in.
All right.
Let's test. Oh, you haven't done a slow action. What do you got,
I've
Vasilla?
not. I think I'm going to yell that we should go, and I'm going to book out the door.
Marines are leaving.
So I'm going to get back to the other side of the circle, the room or not room.
Okay, gotcha. So you are literally moving. You're yelling and moving at the same time. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm going to say I have the wherewithal to just like shove the lantern at no one. I'm just going to put the lantern like
Not
on
the
the floor
lantern.
and go.
All right.
Like I was like shining on the walls and just like,
Yep.
oh, okay, cool.
We know who she's focused on.
What's your least favorite limb?
Well, if I had to pick out of the one, Lim, I've got 3 left.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is, I mean, everything we've been doing here is happening within seconds, right? She opens her mouth. You hear the screaming. We see Vasilla running. We see Osric running in. We see Sten running in, all focused on the brazier. Aldrich, you're there trying to will some force out at you. And we just see her raise a hand and come down to strike you, Aldrich. Your only option is a dodge.
I would love to dodge. Dodging sounds great.
Dodging would be good if you hadn't spent both your actions, though, right?
That is true.
No, I do not have
That
any
is
actions.
true. And she strikes you.
Oops.
This
And
last turn I didn't.
it takes you to the ground. Your head hits the bottom of this corridor or bottom of this chamber. I need you to take 2 strength damage. Where does that leave you?
I'm still at 2.
Okay.
He's a beefy lad.
Oh, no.
Sten?
So I was like, all right, we're gonna do this together. Vasilla's so tell me, so is this like like a bowl on top of like a stone plinth or something?
So there's a small like half bowl,
Right.
and it's surrounded by this metal, right, that
Mhm.
curls up and around.
Right.
And there's probably, and they're all identical. There's probably 8 of them that encircle this, right, to create the
Right.
form that comes down and is setting on the floor. So I don't know if that helps or not.
Yeah. So it's not on anything. It's just the individual pieces resting on the floor.
Yeah, it's all one piece.
Right. And can I see at this point being close to it and being taller than it, if there's like anything material that appears to be burning inside? It's just
It is
green
flame.
fire coming out of nowhere. Yeah, so I will take an action to see if I can smother the flame, and it seems extremely unlikely. But you know, I'm going to give it a shot. So Sten,
So how are we doing
being
that?
well, Sten being human, whips off his cloak. He has been on cases sometimes when he was maybe hunting on land that he kind of shouldn't have, and he needed to put out a fire in a hurry. So he just kind of whips off his cloak and tries to smother it,
Okay.
as he has done during many of his camping things. So I'm going to spend a willpower on my lovely human versatility talent and do this as a survival roll.
Okay, instead of an agility, we're going to be doing a survival roll. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's do it.
Cool. None of those apply. Well, it's that kind of environment. So, well, that's a success. Do I think more successes would help? Oh, kind and benevolent GM.
When the cloak is whipped off and thrown on the fire, this is when you realize what Vasila's already realized. There's no heat.
Okay.
The cloak comes down, and suddenly, instead of greens and yellows and reds filling this chamber, between the lantern and this burning in the center, we're only left with the light of the lantern. And no green is seen. A lot of it happens. Aldrich, this thing in front of you, this woman in front of you, this angry, violent woman in front of you, at times has been solid, at times she's been mist-like and ghostly. She appeared from you from everywhere, and the edges soften. And like when you drop a ball in a glass of 7-Up and all the bubbles just rise around it, we just see her rise. Pieces of her pull up in front of you. Vasila, in your panic, you're running. You stop for a second because the green is no longer shining in the corridor or anywhere else. You turn around, and seeping from the center sarcophagus and the small sarcophagus are pieces of blue and yellow light rising like they're floating to the top of some surface somewhere. All of you are struck. All of you are silent. Then you pull back the cloak. There is
Honestly,
no fire.
Craig, I don't think I would.
Yeah,
I don't think I would risk it at this point.
Yeah, fair. The only thing in this chamber is the light of that lantern as the last pieces of this woman, the last of what was in those last two sarcophagus, dissipate and rise as if you're underwater, and they're rising to the surface. And there's absolute, total silence. The only thing
Well.
you feel left, Aldrich, from a magic, you don't taste the bitter. And you don't feel that weight. But you still hear the music.
I go towards it.
It's drawing you to the child's sarcophagus.
Gently remove the cover if I can.
You pull it back and slide it over. You have no trouble carrying the stone that covers it. At the base, down and stand up. And you turn around. You're holding a child's flute that's been engraved with runes and decorations all up and down it. Somehow there's a blue energy that moves through those runes like water. We're going to go to credits. We'll be back on the other side. All right, great. So really nothing to cover. I appreciate everybody coming.
Night.
I am
I
not,
really appreciate the insight, Craig.
I'm not really sure where I want to start. So who wants to talk first?
I just want to say that I have never in my life role-playing felt so much like Pedro Pascal. All right, so Greg, it looks like they lost audio on Twitch after opening the child sarcophagus. So basically,
Okay, so real quick, for those of you that lost the audio, Aldrich found bones at the bottom of the sarcophagus. and in the bones there was a glowing blue light. He reached down into it. Then we cut to what Sten, Ostrich, and Vasila could see, and they saw Aldrich turn around, and he was holding a child's flute that had some sort of engravings in it that was emitting an almost liquid-like energy up and down the runes. And then we went to credits.
We didn't die. That was good.
So
No, it's yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of in shock. I don't know. The whole thing, just the whole sequence
Mhm.
was very.
That wits damage is super scary because you get like nothing.
Yeah,
against it, and it's
Fear attacks are nasty in this system because
Super
you've got
bad.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's like it rolls, you die, you break, right?
Yeah.
Dude, or just you tried to have an insight roll and you break. You know, whatever.
Mhm.
Man, my days were all over the place tonight. That's for show.
All
Good,
right,
good, good
let's
sesh.
talk about where we were 3 hours ago and where we are today. Who wants to talk about what's changed? Because a lot's changed, and I want to get a sense of what it is, or what sticks with you the most.
I think there's two moments that stick out to me personally. Is one, I think it's the first time that I really felt like Vasila and Sten had a fight. Which is enjoyable, I think, as part of like their dynamic. And then second, I think like I feel like we got a little bit of info dump, right? I mean, we're making assumptions, but like if the berries were the jewels, right? I think that's interesting. And third, I think that like I really thought that we had just gone up against another thing that we couldn't fight, and that we were just like Vasila was definitely having like we should just get out of this. Like it's too big, and
Yeah.
like we just can't. And so, you know, we've tried 3 times. We got our butts whooped 3 times. Let's, you know, here you go, golden eyes. Here's some artifacts. We're going home. So yeah, it's
so
a good win.
what does Dave know? What does Dave know now about the world that Dave didn't know before?
So I think we know more about the Countess, right? About Ursula, for sure. I think so I don't know yet, but there's inklings right around the red jewels that are in the scepter, and I think also the blade, right? Like I think
No, respite doesn't have a
not
gem.
respite. But they're
but the scepter, like it has a name. It's like has a person in it, right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's
I think we
Algarad.
thought it was Algarad. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
probably,
So
possibly.
I wonder, and we thought there was another jeweled weapon in the mine, right?
Mhm.
And so
Well,
like
Possibly.
Jewel, because like the jewels are elven souls or something.
right? So I think if he was the trusted lieutenant, and then his wife gave away all the things that can hurt Zyger when they're together or whatever, Zertome, whichever Z name it is.
so close.
So I just feel like that whole mystery is like progressed some, and then I think we know more about Hagler House and like a little more about the command structure of the brothers, which is interesting and possibly infighting. Although once again, it's like, you know, you pull on the thread and you didn't get the whole answer. You just get a little deeper. So I think we had a lot of.
Well, and something I kind of like about Forbidden Lands, and this is kind of an after effect of the Mist, is everything's unreliable, which I think makes it interesting, right? So even if you get a lore dump, how old is it? Who told it? And that can be true in any fantasy setting, but it's something I think it's very reinforced here, which I dig. And it's why there's people that are playing Forbidden Lands with 4 Rust Brothers as characters.
Those people are weird.
Like they're terrible humans.
But it's very doable. It's
Yeah,
very doable. All right. Nate, you're holding this flute.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
And find out what the flute does. Hopefully it was
Just
worth it.
experiment with this magic item. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. I mean, fortunately, we have a musician, so
Exactly. I just hand it to Vasilla and say, "Here, make some doots."
Yeah, no, it's great
Dude,
that Vasilla
dude,
of all
the
people
flute,
have
please.
access to an unknown powerful magic item. I can't
It's
think
gonna
of
be
anything
awesome.
better.
I mean, I'm going to play the nursery rhyme with it the very first
Of
thing I do.
course you
So,
are.
Brian, as a fellow GM, I was spinning a lot of plates. And one of the plates I was spinning was pace here. Where was I successful? Where did I struggle? Which didn't mean I couldn't have done better, right? But like,
Sure.
I'd like to know how pace felt for you.
I mean, honestly, I'm very cognizant of player frustration right now because I ran a Delta Green game this past weekend where my players kind of got stalled out for a bit.
They get locked.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like I need to find a way that I can help you get to the next bit. And I really like the way you handled it. I mean, it would have been in a perfect world. It would have been, nice if we could have gotten there a little sooner. But at the same time, I don't think it feels realistic for you to just throw out some random ideas while we're still arguing about what's going on. I think using the letters as a way to get those clues in there worked really well. So I think you handled it really well.
Good. Yeah, because that was a little bit of GM fiat there.
No, and I know, and I've been in that seat just recently where there's like, what can I do to resolve this?
And my recommendation for GMs that are listening is, so those letters have always existed, right? So, and this is building off of Brindlewood Bay, Jason Cordova idea, which is to have a pocket of clues. And don't say they have to do 3 things to get these clues. Just have some clues that are at your disposal. And I could have dropped those at Miss Palmer's. They could have been in the tomb, right? And just keep them there. Just keep them there and use them. And that's a little bit different than making up stuff on the spot, which can really work or mess things up. It's a lot less dangerous to have those pocketed clues. So that's one recommendation. Jim, I couldn't tell if you were frustrated or not.
So I feel like I hit a point where I was a little frustrated because I think I wanted us to keep going, right? Like I knew we weren't finished in the tomb, but like Osric and Sten were done in the tomb, right? like the 2 characters had nothing else that they needed to see in here, and I was like, I couldn't find a thing that was a reason for Osric to do. Like at one point I was like, I just want to go knock it over and see what happens. But like, that's not a thing that Osric would have done in that scenario. So it was this point of like, there's something in here, and I know there's something, right?
I almost feel like if I can step on your toes for a minute, I almost feel like we as a group of players had to kind of get to the point that we were frustrated enough as, or you know what, let's just go do that. Because I think I agree with you. It's like, while we were in there the first time, I was like, that might have worked, but it seemed like a no going back kind of moment. And I don't think we were at the point where we felt like we needed to do it yet.
Well, and Nate and Brian and Dave, you have a slight advantage over Jim because you've played role-playing games longer than Jim has. So you've dealt with that struggle, which is the player meta knowledge versus the character meta knowledge. And how do you square that circle?
I think you just trust that the group. I think you can go. I think in this game, you can go with what the character would do because this game doesn't have a clear path of plot that you are following.
Yeah, you guys were not derailed if you never went back to that tomb.
Right. Like you
Sure.
don't like. There's no main storyline that I have to
Yep.
follow. Right. So I think it depends on the situation. There's games where you're like, well, we're just
Mhm.
going to go do that now because that's where the glowing arrow points. And in
Yeah,
this
I
game, you
think
cannot.
in this game and with this table and with this GM, I am much more comfortable just doing what I think the character would do because we're going to get story out of it.
Mhm.
Sure.
And just one or two of us had to be motivated enough to say, yeah, that's what we're doing.
No, we're going in there again.
Fuck that ghost. I'm going in there.
There were several times during tonight's session that I had no idea if I was
There
going
was
to
the
see
moment where I didn't think
I
you were
don't
starting
think
off.
we did
backpacks.
either.
Yeah, backpacks headed south, or backpacks headed west to Hagler's, or backpacks going back home or going into the tomb, and I like that, right? And it's fun, and you know, I'll take credit for some of the ability to be comfortable in that flexibility, but a lot of it I have to give to the system and Eric and the way Eric has, you know, and it's not just Eric that's done this because it's really kind of a staple now of the material that comes out of this house, because these adventure site ideas, and it's a kind of a one step further than the point campaign ideas from Shane Hensley and Savage Worlds, where there isn't a storyline. What we're doing is we're giving you a world where shit's happening, and now we're going to drop your players in and see what happens. And it really, really, really can create a pretty neat situation. And so hats off on that. All right, super quick because we're running long. Stars and wishes, Dave.
So I think my star goes to Aldrich. I think it was his moment to be in charge, and I just enjoyed him trying to like coming to the realization that like I think our group coming to the realization that he was like, this is your show, you go do, and getting through that, and then wishes I don't know, man. I still just really super enjoy it. It's still really good. I'm glad we're getting a little bits of info dump from like the broader world. I like that our like motivations are kind of like been thought about more in the last couple sessions about like where we have a place to sit in. Right, we're in season 2 now. But the first season we were like get a feel for the world, we got a feel for the characters, and now we're like, but now what? You know what? And I think that's really interesting. So I'm really happy with that. Those two things.
Nate, stars, wishes.
I think my star was probably the 3 success lore roll for Vasilla. Like
That
that,
was
just the joy there of just like, ooh, I had thoughts. Just like ruminating on all this evidence, and yes, tying in like the nursery rhyme of it and the stories, and it was cute. And it led to a lot of good information that I think we have. It gives us pieces that I don't think we had yet.
Wishes.
Yeah, I did really like the nursery rhyme. That was really
I pulled that out of my rear end.
Yeah.
It's good.
I was
good.
like, man, if you actually have a rhyme, this is gonna be something else. It's like, no,
Yeah.
there's no rhyme. And then I was like, oh wait, is Dave gonna come up with a rhyme?
No, did Craig just dropping bars in the middle of a game session? Pretty funny.
There once was a woman from the Hollows. How about wishes, Nate?
I mean, I'm really geared up to see if this whole plan was worth it, and what we can, if it's gonna be enough to do anything for the Hollows, or if it's just something we take the flute and run and keep it from the Rust Brothers.
Maybe the flute is
If
the
that's
Pied
enough.
Piper of the dead bodies.
Brian.
Gosh, I agree with everybody's been saying. My star moment, I think, was when he fired the maximum power earthquake out of the scepter, and literally nothing happened. And just, I mean, all of us, I mean, Nate
We're like,
especially, but all of us just like,
"Whoa."
well, now we're effed.
Right?
Right?
That's supposed to be the answer button.
Yes, exactly.
And you
Now-
rolled a
Yeah.
6.
Exactly.
right.
It was
It's
the
like,
yeah.
best
maximum
possible
power.
result.
We're good.
I think
There's,
the follow up to that was when I healed everything the scepter
was
had
like,
done. It's just
"Oh,
like,
no."
no, that doesn't happen. That's not good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
What are you wishing for, Brian?
Oh gosh.
When we come back in April.
Yeah, I wish it was March.
Board games.
But yeah, basically, I want us to have. I don't want us to be stalled out arguing back and forth about where we're going yet, which of course is an us problem rather than a you problem. But it's like, if the flute gives us some kind of thing that can help the hollows, great. Otherwise, I think we got to get out of here.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else we can do here.
No, I'm pro leaving now as well.
Jim.
My star moment was in the tomb the first time, when Sten started interacting with the ghost, because I feel like there was a moment where, like, I heard, you felt Sten remembering his wife and child
That was
right
really
there,
cool
and
moment.
and it was before he brought it up again later. But like, there was this moment where Sten was like, "No, that's not how that happens, right? That he was trying to protect you, and even if you don't think he was doing his best." And so that was like this moment of like Brian was gone and Sten was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
that
glad
was
that
cool.
came through.
and
Yeah.
and that was a real moment.
That was a good shout.
As far as wishes, I think it'll be interesting to see what the flute does in general. I agree that there's like a very small chance that it actually helps the hollows. and
That optimism that keeps you going, Jim.
That's right. That's right. So it'd be nice if it did, but I'm not holding out a ton of hope for us to save the hollows next session. So I think it might be time to go see what's going on in these mines and see what sort of future Bargal actually has for us.
How do
I
we know
think-
how to deal with ghosts?
Put out the
Sure.
light.
We just hope we can actually find the thing and it just snuffs next time. It'll be great. So yeah, I still think that Margal is in some ways like a, this. She's like the dungeon master in the old D&D cartoon, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
She's
Like
she's the character with the blue diamond above her head, right?
yeah, and she's sort of like pushing, like us in directions, and I think that she, at least to some degree, seems like the least bad of all of the things that have been pushing us in real directions. She seems the least bad.
Yeah. So the reason we'll be back in April, so it's going to be a little bit longer than we wanted to on this. Actually, Jim, Dave, and I, and a bunch of other people are headed out to the campgrounds. We're going to do camping for gamers here in March for a week, and I'm super excited about that. But I'm also super excited about us coming back and playing. For those of you watching, about the podcast, Tabletop Talk, like, subscribe, sub, all that goodness, and so on and so forth. There's a Patreon and whatnot. But man, I love this game. And when I say, I don't mean just the system, I mean everything. I think what we're doing is pretty damn cool.
Amen.
All right, take care all. Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.